Okay. So somebody is here and already one is here. I give thanks. So much fun to press go live and there's already someone here. Hang on, audio, video. No? Yes? Yes, good. So we have audio, we have video, things are good. It's the Nazarite bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. Wait, I just want to put on the monetization. I wonder why. I should probably do it as a default, right? To do it automatically. And I thought that I did. Turns out I did not. So I'll have to do it now. So it's Sunday morning. It's a cup of coffee. And I'm very happy to be here. Last night's last night's World Cup game, England versus France, was pretty darn good. I stayed up to watch it. It was very good. Good morning, Mick Maverick. Good morning, Mad Hatter. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Our Krusty Burgers Kosher Toda Salam says, I'm not sure. First time on your live. Hope you have a good day. Thanks, Pirate. It's great to see you. Really great to see you. Let's launch into a few Q&As here. Kunal said, is yeshiva harder to study than mathematics? Like, is it theory or practical? So yeshiva is a place of higher religious studies. And there are yeshivas that are for, people in grade school. There are yeshivas for high school. There are yeshivas afterwards, before the army. There are yeshivas where you can keep going and postpone the army until it really does depend on the yeshiva. And some yeshivas are more into Talmud, right? And some yeshivas are more into halacha. And some yeshivas are, it really does depend. But the idea of they're not mutually exclusive, mathematics and yeshiva, but yeshiva draws people who are, let's say, left-brained and right-brained, right? You need to have a certain amount of brain, a certain type of brain, rather, a certain amount of proclivity, right, for numbers and calculations in order to be good at math. Math is like a language, right? And yeshiva does teach you many things, depending on the yeshiva you go to. It's theory and it's practical. It's theory in the sense that you learn things to increase your knowledge of Torah and of Hebrew life, right? It's theory in the sense that the things that you study sometimes stay over here. It's practical in the sense that they all are there to increase your, potential insofar as you're made in the image of God, right? And to bring that and manifest it in fullness. It means that those who go to yeshiva many times will be implementing and carrying out the things that they are learning. So it doesn't all stay in the mind. It doesn't always all stay in the brain. It has to do with the way that you act in the world and what you say and what you do and what you wear. And so in that sense, it is very practical. How hard you call it on a scale of 1 to 10, he asks, there's no such thing. For one person, yeshiva would be a 1, and for another person, yeshiva would be a 10, depending on the nature of their specific makeup, right? Genetic makeup, personality, character traits, proclivity to study and sit and read. And if it's let's say, a more Talmud-oriented yeshiva that sits and studies Gemara all day, it's a certain type of mind that will be able to enjoy it. It's a certain type of mind who will find ease sometimes in it. It's a certain type of mind who will consider it very hard on a scale of 1 to 10 or very easy on a scale of 1 to 10. It's really difficult. That question is too vague. Banana Knight is here. Batty is here. How you doing? Daggett Brown said, I remember that one time we were at church and I had to fart, so I left the mass and went into the hallway and farted, and it came out sounding like Louis Armstrong. Yes, I do remember. I've done that many times myself. No, not in church. Are you a liberal? 242. I'm not one or the other. I don't put myself under any label or, so I'm liberal about certain things. I suppose I'm more strict about other things, but I'm not in the middle. I'm not on the right. I'm not on the left, politically, sociologically. My thesis is, give me the scenario, give me the details, and I will address it as a standalone thing. Usually I don't lean one way or the other. I simply use the tools that are available when they're available, and I take things into account, and I give you my view. But I'm not one or the other. Are you a liberal? How many liberals do we have in the chat? Layla is here. Hi, you are so nice. I am apostate of Islam. My English is bad. Have a good day. Well, your English seems great. I don't know if you're translating or not, but the English over here seems great. I respect that, says 242. Look, there's no other way for me personally. Other people can say, yes, I'm on the right, yes, I'm on the left, yes, I'm in the center, yes, I'm this, I'm that. To me, it's just if I were to say I'm this, that, or the other, it would already mean that I approach a situation with some sort of a pre-packaged idea, some preconceived notion of what things ought to be. Or no, I just take things, on a case-by-case basis in many ways. And thanks, Layla, I appreciate that. Now tell me, what made you leave Islam? I'm curious. Turk says, I don't respect clown. Okay, that's okay. I mean, should you respect a clown? They say that the clowns, are we talking about a circus clown? Are we talking about a courtside kingly court harlequin? Are we talking about a pantomime? Are we talking about theater? Are we talking about, you understand what I'm saying? Bacon for all, says Bupkis. Well, I've never had bacon. I'm never going to have bacon, but yes, bacon for all. Carl says, Supermensch. So the Supermensch is very reminiscent of the Ubermensch, right? The overman. That idea of a person, of an ideal that you cannot fully attain, the Ubermensch and the Uberfrau. But yeah, it's good to shoot to be a Supermensch. It is. Hext said, no progression in humanity in submitting to conservatism. We'd still be stoning women without liberals. Jesus was a liberal. Well, I don't have anything to say about Jesus. I'm not a Christian or a follower of Jesus. I will say that you need to preserve certain things and you need to progress with certain things. It's the tension between preservation and progress that can yield so many amazing things about society, be it, in the East or the West. Albie says, hey, my Jewish friend, happy you're out here doing your thing, as am I. I am very happy too. Sunday morning in Jerusalem, I have a lovely cup of coffee. Still a bit too hot. I'll get to it soon. Why don't you have bacon? First of all, William, it's not kosher. Second of all, I'm vegan, so even if it was kosher, I wouldn't have it. Hello, I'm Muslim and love the Jewish people. Hello, Ali Zahir. That's nice. That's great. Eat kosher. Yes, exactly. Owen says, are you male or female? Biologically, I'm male, but I have feminine and masculine traits. And I'm, again, depending on the situation, I'll be more feminine or more masculine. Ashish says, I want to become Jewish. Well, all right, go convert. Everybody can convert. Though we're not, we don't encourage conversion. Some people do. Usually it's like, think about it very, very, very carefully because it's a covenant for life. So the Shabbat has ended, huh? Yes, the Shabbat ended 14 hours ago in Israel. 14 hours ago. Kieran says, good morning, my Jewish friend. Hope you're well. Did I tell you my news? Kieran, I'm not sure, but do tell. I may have forgotten. You may have said it. I may have missed it. Do tell, and good morning to you. Nice hair, bro, says Jake. Thanks. It's just dead strands of keratin. That's all that it is. With a living root. But, yep. Michael says, look like it's on meth. Well, I'm totally not on meth. How about turkey bacon? No, I don't eat turkey bacon either. I don't consume any birds or bird meat. But even if I was, and I was at the time when I was still carnivorous or omnivorous, according to our family's tradition, we are not allowed to eat turkey. Now, not everybody in our family actually keeps to this tradition. It's a few hundred years old, but yeah, some people in my family do not eat turkey. I'm ultra-conservative, says William. All right, and what does that mean in reality, de facto? Explain it to me. I'm ignorant. What does it mean? Does it mean, William, that you come with already a set idea, right? A set series or package of ideas that you want to implement in society? When you say you're ultra-conservative, how is that as opposed to mainstream conservative? William says, we love you, bro. Christian love will heal the world. True Christian love, not the posers. It's amazing how many Christians, and I'm not one, right? But it's amazing how the back and forth in the chat here, you're not a real Christian, you are a real Christian, you follow Jesus, Jesus was this, Jesus was that. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. Los Kaliminik boys. I am a gun-owning, Second Amendment-loving, Trump-hating, American liberal. FDJTF is, I don't know what the acronym is, but okay. Good. Oh, Donald J. Trump. Trump hating. Oh, okay, I see. Well, what kind of gun do you have? I'm curious. Or guns, plural. Dagwood Sandwich says, it's only a matter of time before a wonderful American puts Trump in the dirt. Then who will you cultists worship? I mean, he will either, I mean, people made attempts on his life already, did they not? And were not successful. And is he going to actually break the mold and run for a third term? Is such a thing even possible? I was under the impression that American presidents may serve only 2 terms maximum. So how does that work? Mailer Soon says, why do you wear your hair like that? It looks messy. Yes, I'm a Nazarite. We do not comb or brush our hair, hence the messy look. Good day, bro, says John Anthony. Hey, how you doing? Prove there was a Jesus, says Dagwood. Well, I'm assuming you're talking to Jesus followers in the chat. I have no idea. Do you ever comb your hair? No, I have not combed my hair in 16 years. No comb, no brush. I do shampoo and condition regularly. I even use a hair mask occasionally. I love essential oils. I keep it clean, but I don't keep it neat. And that's the difference. Are Nazarites Jewish or Christian? No, there are no other Nazarites other than Jews. It says it in the book of Numbers chapter 6. Speak to the children of Israel. Ergo, the Nazariteship was given to the children of Israel. Halachically speaking, right? Mosaically speaking. Are there people who are not Jewish, who want to follow the Bible, who see merit in the Nazariteship and take it on? Yes. And their vow is a standalone vow. Are they Hebrew Nazarites? No. Are they Nazarites in their own understanding insofar as they took a vow, a serious and solemn vow in front of their Creator? Yes. So they don't need to follow rabbinic law. They don't need to follow the halacha, the law of the Nazarites. They don't need to bring a sacrifice if it's done. They don't need to do it for life as long as there's no temple. As there is no temple, they are not Jewish, ergo the Jewish law does not apply to them. But whatever they uttered, whatever they said before God in the form of a vow, that does matter and it does count. Now, there are many Christians and others who take on this vow, some Christians and others who take on this vow, and I've spoken with them. I don't gatekeep, but in the Torah it says that this Nazariteship is for the children of Israel. It still doesn't take away anything from the vow that these people make. Let's continue. I think diabetes turning me in a Nazarite, says Jake. Really? How do you figure? How do you figure? There never was a Jesus and I can prove it, says Dagwood. Okay, fine by me. Go ahead and prove it. I'm not under the impression that I must believe that all of these biblical characters existed. I am a lot more into gaining the wisdom from the Bible and a lot more in gaining the way that the Bible informs life rather than believing that there were actually these people, that it's historically accurate. I don't go for that at all. If things are historically accurate, all the better. But I don't see that as a prerequisite for belief. I had this conversation with a dude in my office at the time where he was like, no, if somebody proved to me that the Bible was just a collection of stories and allegories and archetypal tales, everything would fall apart for me. And I said, for me, that's not the case at all. I'm laboring and working under the assumption that it could very well be that these are just stories. It could very well be that it's all allegory. It could very well be that it's all archetypal tales from thousands of years ago. It still has merit. Okay. Christ is king, let's go, says Hayden. Yes, many Christians think that, and I don't. Christ was never crowned by the people of Israel. TTT, what is the Nazarite opinion on the creation of Israel? Well, I am only one Nazarite, so I don't know what the Nazarite you mean, but my opinion about the creation of Israel is that it is a good thing, and Israel needs to get its act together. It needs to de-radicalize the radicals inside of it, and it needs to make peace with its neighbors. Pretty much it. No, it's different. Toda Salam. Nazarene is from Nazareth. Nazarite is the vow. Yes, thank you. Thank you for the answer, says 035. Jake says, I don't really need an Uzi. I can modify the trigger on my 9mm, get the same results. Well, yes and no. You'll also need... First of all, it's a different magazine. I think the Uzi holds a lot more than your typical 9mm, though I might be mistaken. I fired an Uzi once in my life. I fired a 9mm a few times in my life. I don't recall. It's been such a long time. Such a long time. Sefirot says, brother, you're awake already. Yes, I've been awake for about 4 hours. Look, the satanic nose, says Ilpu Tofu. I'm a fan of tofu. The satanic nose? I mean, it's a schnoz, that's to be sure. But is it satanic? I don't know. Do you pick up a penny from the floor, says LOL Cascade. Do I? I mean, here it would
Talk
be...
about Jews.
Yes, I'm aware. You think he's the first one to ask me about money? That's nice, kid. I appreciate it. Yes, I do pick up many pennies, only we have no pennies here in Israel. Go to kiss the wall, says El Putofu. No, I have a hate-love relationship with the Western Wall, the Wailing Wall. I don't go there much because it's too painful. It reminds me of everything that we used to have that we currently do not have. And there is a little bit of a pagan vibe sometimes to do with that wall. And it has to do with mourning. And look, we are now in the 9 days between the 1st of Av and the 9th of Av. On Thursday, we are going to fast for 25 hours from sundown to sundown, or sundown to the day after, right? And the emergence of the stars, right? The stars coming out, and we will be mourning, and we will be fasting, and we will be experiencing once again that tragedy of the loss of the first and second temple. Maybe I'll get to the old city then. Maybe I will. Hell, I already got 100 round drums for 9mm. Yes, but doesn't that take away? Look, you have a 9mm, right? Assuming that it's a handgun, a pistol, right? To have a drum of 100 rounds, you're a lot less agile, and it will affect your, everything from your positioning to the traction, right? It will affect, well, depending on the 9mm, it will also affect recoil, won't it? I mean, the way your hand will move. Let's continue. Your last haircut, says DSW, about 18 years ago. Jerusalem is where I want to visit, says Wilbur. You are welcome. Are you a Rasta? Julian asks. No, I'm not a Rasta. Rastas also take the Nazarite vow. I am a Hebrew Nazarite. That's why the dreadlocks. Why is this guy spamming about being a granddad? 03 says. I don't know who you're talking about, but okay. If you have a rifle conversion, it won't. So why not get a rifle already? If you have a 9mm pistol and a 100 round drum, and you convert it to hold it like a rifle, I mean, maybe it's a law thing. I'm assuming it's a law thing. My ancestors destroyed yours. LMAO user RB5 says, really? Well, I'm still here. So are you. I guess we're both here. Albie says, I'm sorry for my American counterpart. We're not all this hateful and ignorant. Yes, hateful and ignorant people are everywhere. That's okay. I think one should strive to be less hateful and less ignorant. But hate and ignorance are everywhere. Fasting is part of every religion. Yes, many people, many different religions and faiths have fasting. The Hebrew faith has two types of fasting, one of mourning and one of joy. For instance, Yom Kippur, the holiday of atonement, is a feast of joy. 9th of Av is a fast of joy. 9th of Av is a fast of mourning. Hyperslob says, how can it remind you of you used to have when you weren't there? Well, what do you mean? Because the Western Wall that we have is the Western Wall that was once 4 walls, that were outside of the Temple Mount. If you're standing at the Wailing Wall, at the Western Wall, and you can look further, if you step a bit back and you look further, you see the Temple Mount. You see the tip of the Golden Mosque, of the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Omar Mosques, right? And so it's definitely there, according to history and tradition, that both temples stood. Although there is a debate among researchers or academics on where precisely it was, they're not sure. The point is, and our sages and rabbis too, for that matter, are not exactly sure. But there was something there before, the Temple of Solomon and the Second Temple. They stood right there. So that's why I have a love-hate relationship with the wall. 20 hours fast, 4 hours eat. Okay, so you're doing intermittent fasting, Sfirot? Is that what you're doing? Sudlush says, do you have any old Torah scrolls? I heard Jews are amazing at preserving their tradition. I don't have a Torah scroll. I have a few Bibles, right, that are over 20 years old, and I have a couple of prayer books that are over 30 years old that I've managed to keep, and I'm very loath to I don't want to get rid of them. They mean a lot to me. But I do not have a written scroll. I would like to write my own Torah scroll someday, or have one written for me if I don't actually learn how to write like a scribe. The Western Wall Plaza was commissioned by Suleiman the Magnificent. Yes, the Sultan Suleiman. A double-edged sword, because this way they could control Jewish religious practice in Jerusalem. Yes, The walls outside of the old city itself were also beautified and made and fortified by Suleiman the Magnificent, the Sultan. Mailer soon says, have you ever visited any nearby Muslim countries? If so, what were your experiences like? No, I've been on the border of all of them as an IDF soldier, but I haven't been to any Muslim countries nearby, nor do I want to go. I like the Krusty Burger shirt too. Thanks, Jake. My woman buys me my clothes. She said, hey, you might like this. So yeah. Why are you looks so bummy? Why, rifle hunger? Yes. My looks are bummy because I let my hair and my beard grow wild. That's pretty much it. If people want to see it as bummy, that's fine. Turk says Ottoman Empire. Oh, and he just retracted it. Have you watched One Piece? William says. No, I don't know what that is. I have no idea what One Piece is. Presumably it's a show or a movie.
One Piece is the one with Luffy.
I don't know who that is. Dude, I don't know who that is. Oh, what you were talking about? Well, my kid has seen it or parts of it. I haven't. There's no way he doesn't stink. Really? I shower almost every day. I don't think that I stink. But hey, you're welcome to disagree. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to stink a little bit too. I'm a fan of my BO when it's in measure, right? Mild BO, I'm willing to go with that. Obviously, I won't subject other people to it if it's rampant. Are the Israelites the Hyksos? Seek asks. So it's unsure. The researchers and the historians are not sure. From the evidence so far, no. Because the Hyksos were rulers of Egypt, and it never is claimed that the Hebrew people were rulers of Egypt. And that's why it doesn't go together in that sense. Yeah, your kid is smart, says Sefirot. Yeah, smarter than me. Sudlu says, have you ever been the Holy Septuagint? I don't know what that is. If you meant to write Holy Sepulchre, that is a church. I do not enter churches. Gotta watch One Piece. No, I haven't. I stink like weed, says Kung Fupa. Okay, what type of weed? Are we talking sativa? Are we talking indica? Hybrid? Justin says the acid must be good. Which acid? Are we talking about, ascorbic acid from an orange? Are we talking about lysergic acid diethylamide? What type of acid are we talking about here? Joshua says, I'm sorry, I love Jewish people, but your government is fucking evil. Yes, that's what people say. I'm not a fan of the government either. I'm going to vote in the upcoming election in a couple of months after not voting for over 20 years because I want to get rid of the current administration. Your woman buys your clothes. That's, like mine does, I confess. Yeah, Nodi, hey, good to see you again. Yeah, she does, because she's the one who needs to look at me. So, yeah, she buys my clothes. She knows my style. She knows what I like. She knows what to get me. Whether it's, lay around the house with a Krusty Burger shirt, or whether it's, button-down things to wear to work or whatever. Sweet says, do Nazarite need to grow their beard? No. It's not a commandment to grow the beard. The only commandment related to the beard in the Torah is not to cut the corners with a razor and pull the hairs out from the root and to completely sort of, take them out. So that's not allowed. So this part over here is what people always leave unshaven, always. Those who do follow that commandment. Those who embellish on that commandment, and I was for many years, wear their sides here in long side curls called peot, or side locks, or side curls, or payas. So Nazarites can cut their beards. Nazarites can shave their beards with a shaver, not with a razor, but Nazarites must grow their hair out and have it long and wild. Now, you don't have to have long hair to be a Nazarite. All the Torah says is, if you have hair and you take on a Nazarite vow, you must grow it wild and free. You're not allowed to use a comb, you're not allowed to use a brush, you're not allowed to place any substance on the scalp that causes direct falling out of the hair, so you can't have some sort of an induced alopecia. So there is no beard maintenance. You can do whatever you want with your beard. I let it grow wild and free. I've never shaved it. This is my original beard growth. Don says, do you follow the Talmud? So the Talmud is not something you follow. The Talmud is where halacha, rabbinic law, is derived from. Many opinions appear in the Talmud that do not actually relate to halacha and are not brought down as halacha, as binding rabbinic law. Furthermore, there are many tidbits of, myth and legend and folklore thrown into that mix over there that do not pertain to the particular conversation or debate that is ongoing on whatever halacha is being debated. Can you back up a little? Your nose is too close. Sorry, MSIP747. How's this? Is better? Nice. Sudlush says, why are non-Jews allowed to visit the Western Wall, but non-Jews cannot enter some parts of the Al-Aqsa Mosque? You'll have to ask a Muslim. I have no idea. Dorito says, Jesus is not the Messiah. I am inclined to agree. He was a potential contender for the throne, but he was never crowned or anointed by the people of Israel. So, no, not really. He's not the Messiah. How am I number one? Just got here, says the Manatee. Hey, Manatee. Have you ever tried mullion? I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Sorry, man. What does a Nazarite believe about Jesus? Well, if you're a Messianic Jew, obviously you would believe in Jesus. I am not a Messianic Jew. So, Muffin. What do I believe? I believe he was a Hebrew man who is a dead man. No more, no less. That's it. He may have been a righteous man and a good man, but he's dead. That's all. Hiya, says G-Relic. Hi, G-Relic. Hello. How you doing? Shalom, I'm Muslim, says Harris. I agree with you, worshiping one God. Peace, brother. Yes, indeed. I mean, I don't gatekeep. People can feel free to worship whatever deity they want, or deities, plural. They can feel free to be atheist, agnostic, agnostic. Really, really. William says, what do Jews think about homosexuality? First, I don't represent all the Jews. The Torah says that full penetrative anal sex between two Hebrew males is not allowed. The Torah doesn't tell you who to be attracted to. The Torah doesn't tell you who to have romantic feelings for. The Torah does say that that one specific act is abhorrent and not permissible, right? Full penetrative anal sex between two Hebrew men. Now, our sages in the oral Torah expanded on that and said anything also leading up to that should not be allowed. So any kind of physical intimacy of the romantic sexual sense, anything to do with, let's say, oral, things of that nature, any sexual contact is prohibited according to Jewish law, according to rabbinic law. The Torah itself only specifies that one act in that specific manner. Let's continue. Good on the Torah for that. Do you wipe your ass with your hair, says Brian. You know, I don't, but specifically to avoid accidental ass hair wiping or hair ass wiping, I put my hair up in a bun or a quickie bun. That's why I have this hair tie on me at all times. I put it up in a I could do it with a dread. I could lock it up. I could do a hair tie with a dread. It's just, this is easier. So yes, I have never wiped my ass with my hair, and I hope I never do. That would be a bummer. A little bit of a bummer, man. Are you circumcised? Yes, I am. Are you? Do you believe in a free Palestine? Rafa says. I don't believe there's any such a nation or people as Palestinians. I do believe, right, there was the British Mandate of Palestine based on what Rome called the region, Syria Palestina. I do believe that the people here who have been here for hundreds and thousands of years, be they Jewish or non-Jewish, should all be free. On that, I definitely believe that should be the case. So may both sides be de-radicalized. May we introduce true justice and real peace to the region, live side by side, happily ever after. That is the goal. That is the game. Slem Sycamore says, what is your conception of religion? I know there's many different. I live in a country where it is widely accepted that most religion is evil and purely used to control masses. There is definitely that facet of modern day organized religion, and more ancient organized religion at that, of being evil and used to control masses. My conception of religion is that it is a path, it is a way, it is a discipline. Depending on the nature of the time and place that you occupy in reality, the hierarchy of values that a certain religion has can inform, where it is on the spectrum of good and evil. But religion as an idea of facilitating the pure spiritual connection, right? You have the spiritual connection of you and the world, you and your creator, you and creation. And then you have religion, which is the practical implementation, right, of how do you fortify that connection, how do you cultivate that connection, how do you become all that you can be and more. And that has to do with knowing yourself and understanding your purpose in this world. And that is partly what religion facilitates. It's not the only thing that it facilitates, but that's partly why it is. So my conception is that even though there are many drawbacks and many faults and failures to organized religion, many evil people, many controlling people, the opiate of the masses, and so on, there is still a root of benevolence, of kindness, of grace, of altruism in the idea of religion, of thinking about things that are larger than yourself, of raising your consciousness, expanding your awareness, and being able to think outside of the proverbial box that one lives in. Let's continue. Free Palestina, says Hugo. I agree. Free Palestine from Hamas. Free Palestine from the Palestinian Authority. Free them from the death cult, the warmongering, bloodthirsty regimes, the ruthless leaders that run them. Thank you for supporting the IDF. Thank you for supporting Israel. It is so nice to have your support. Trolls are such losers, such deep thinkers, Matthew says. Hey, Matthew, good to see you again. End Times Armory says there is only one truth. All religions contradict each other. One truth, all else is deception. No, I don't think all religions contradict each other. I think it's like the allegory or parable of the elephant, where you have 5 people blindfolded, each one touching a different part of the elephant, claiming this is the elephant. So somebody is touching the trunk, and he says the elephant is like a big snake. The other one touching the tail says, no, the elephant is like a little snake. One is touching the hide, right? It's like, no, it's a flat, hard thing, of a substance of this nature. One of them is touching a leg. No, it's a circular, tubular thing that can move. It's like different people, but eventually when they take off the blindfold, they see, oh, we are all describing the same animal, just different parts of it. That's why religions can be right, religions can be wrong. They don't all contradict each other. There are simply spaces and places where they do contradict. Overall, they are trying to describe the same thing. They are trying, I think, to arrive at the same place. None of your business says, are women independent in your culture? Yes, they are, very much. Are they equal to men? Equal but different. Have any differences in which they are expected to live? No. I mean, if you're talking about modern day Israeli culture, free independent women, and I am all for that. The thing is that people are different, right? We are equal but different, and that's what I teach my kids, right? Men and women are equal but different. Random guy on the internet, good to see you again. Do you think of religion, do we need prophets and divine scripture for morality and God, or is it already a part of human nature? It is a part of human nature, but there is, again, such a thing as thinking outside yourself, and that's in part what religion facilitates. The spiritual connection can do that as well. Religion is the type of thing that says implement it in your life every single day. That's why spirituality and religion both get a bad rap. Religion, some people say, has corrupted spirituality, right? Spirituality is a clean connection, a pure connection between creation and creator, and religion has corrupted it. Religion is divisive, religion is controlling, religion brought the sword, religion brought all the infighting, religion brought all the in-group, out-group, and tribalism thinking, even though that has existed before. Religion brought it into the world in earnest. People will do horrible things in the name of God, thinking that they are righteous. People will do the most unethical and immoral things because they believe God is telling them to do so. And in that sense, it's a dangerous thing. But the pros outweigh the cons. I feel this. I can't give you the data, but this is what I feel about religion as such. Then again, there is also genuine human morality, right? There's a sense of ethics. There's a conscience. The conscience in a big way is correlated to the divine revelation that sits over here in your solar plexus. Okay. Do you have a favorite book in the Bible? Genesis. Genesis is my favorite book. Genesis is my favorite Torah portion. RH says, religion is BS, nobody knows God. Oh, I agree, very much so. Religion is BS if it says you can know God. I'm of the opinion that God is unknowable, unthinkable, inconceivable, untouchable. Right? I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me. All I know is the divine revelation coming into creation, right? Through Torah, through nature, through life. Which means that all I have is the divine attributes to cling to and emulate. All I have is that image of God that I am made in, that I'm trying to mirror in my actions and my words and the way I live my life. I have there's no such thing for me as knowing God. That's a complete, it doesn't make any, it's not happening. Joshua says, brother, I got a lot of respect for you. I've seen you before and just subbed. Thanks, Joshua. I appreciate that. Would you ever read the Quran? Yes, I would, Harris. After there is peace and justice in this region, I will turn my attention to Quran, Hadith, the teachings of Muhammad. What about the heart, says JFGWD3F. What about the heart? The heart can be swayed. The heart can be broken. The heart can be overcome with emotion. Emotion is designed to bypass the straightforward thinking intellect. So it's problematic. You need to have the mind over the heart and know when to put the heart over the mind, right? It's a push and pull. The tension between the heart and the mind, the tension between logic and emotion, that's what makes the human being. And depending on where you want to go and what you want to do, and who you give mastery to in which, at which scenario or point in your life, that informs what you do and who you are. Are you a Jew for J? No, Zach, I do not believe in Jesus. I believe he is a dead man, no more, no less. Judaism end time says Jesus died and he's not the Messiah. Islam says Jesus didn't die and he is the Messiah. Christianity says Jesus died and is risen. God himself, these are gigantic differences, thoughts. Well, I have no thoughts on Christianity or Islam because I'm not a Christian or a Muslim. As for Judaism, yes, he's dead and he's not the Messiah. Those are my thoughts. That's pretty much it. Are you religious? I grew up modern Orthodox in Jerusalem, Zach, but I no longer consider myself religious. I no longer consider myself Orthodox. I am off the derech, but I am on my derech, as it were. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'hakol niheh b'dvaro. Oh, yeah. Do your shoes match your shirt? No, MSIP. I think that would be a great idea. It would be a great idea if my shoes match my shirt. VPD says, do you think Israel is going too far with Gaza at this point, almost 3 years in? No, I don't. I think Hamas needs to be eradicated. They need to lay down their arms and surrender. And that's it. That's it. Then we can rebuild Gaza. And I say we. But they are a terrorist organization. They didn't do anything other than attack Israel in the 20 years they've been in power. That's it. They've got to go. They can't remain in control there. What was your job when you served in the IDF? Joshua says, I was a field medic, a combat medic, an infirmary medic, medical personnel. That's what I was. I was discharged 5 years ago. Do you think my non-Jewish friends will go to heaven with us? I think they are good people, Joel says. I don't believe in a separate heaven. I don't believe in a heaven. Heaven and hell are Christian concepts. They're not Hebrew concepts. There is no heaven and hell as an eternal place of rest or damnation in the Hebrew faith or in the Hebrew scripture. No such thing. My daughter is expecting. Good for you, Kieran. That's wonderful. Do you regret working for the IDF? First of all, I wasn't working. I was serving my country. Second of all, awakening head shop dairy. No, not even a second. Not even a little. When the war broke out, even though I was discharged, I called my commanding officer and I told him, if you need me, call me. I will wear the uniform again. Thankfully, they did not need me, but I will definitely sign up again and join again if necessary. Palestine give you land and food before? Salu for you says, now what your people doing for Palestine? Are you full of shit? I'm sorry. When did Palestine give us land and food? That is, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm simply misunderstanding you. There were Jews living for thousands of years in the land you call Palestine. And there, was land and food there already. Refugees showed up and modern day Zionists showed up. And there were individual Palestinians who welcomed them. There were maybe individual families of Palestinians who welcomed them. But the Palestinian leadership never welcomed the Jews, ever, in the land of Israel. They've been persecuted throughout the entire time there, primarily since the beginning of the 19th century onward until this very day. The Palestinian leadership never opened its arms, never welcomed the Jews. They wanted to eradicate the Jews. Al-Khomeini, the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, conspired with Adolf Hitler in the 30s to get rid of all the Jews in the Holy Land. So what are you talking about? Read a history book. Or, read a Wikipedia, for crying out loud, on Al-Husseini. Is a Holocaust a holy sacrifice? I have no idea what you're talking about, Pancake. What do you mean by a Holocaust being a holy sacrifice? What does that mean? Death is not good. War is not good. I'm of the idea that sacrificial offerings of living things is not good either. Jews wouldn't get big unless Cyrus the Great saved Babylon. I thought Cyrus overtook Babylon. He saved Babylon? I don't think that's how it went down. Yes, Cyrus the Great, king of Persia. Koresh. He is the one who gave the kingdom of Judah, or the remnants of Judah, the permission to go back to Judea and rebuild the temple. Throat Me Goat says, I have no idea what you are talking about. Well, Throat, by all means, what topic do you want to talk about? Come on. Send it my way. What religious texts do you follow? Clashley says. I am a Hebrew man. I follow the Hebrew texts, primarily the Torah. Harris says, I agree Hamas is wrong, but what would you expect when settlers are attacking Palestinians? Really? Settlers were attacking Palestinians after Israel disengaged unilaterally 21 years ago. 21 years ago, Israel withdrew from Gaza completely. Hamas had every opportunity to establish a Palestinian state and turn Gaza into a seaside paradise. They didn't. They decided to piss all over the population. There's been no elections since the democratic elections in 2006. They are a warmongering, bloodthirsty death cult of a dictatorship, and that is all they are. That's it. As for people, if they are actually stealing their homes, if there are individual settlers who are violent with no provocation and no cause, then they should go to jail, a prison rather. If there are people who are stealing homes, actually stealing homes, and then only then passing the laws to make it legal, that is not kosher, it is immoral, it is unethical, and it should not be. So on that we can agree. Why are you obsessed with your ethnicity and make it your entire personality? I don't. We are here to have conversations. Ladyback Music. This is a channel for conversations on faith, spirituality, religion, self-development, psychology, philosophy, and anything else you want to throw my way. This is totally not my entire identity. Being a Hebrew is definitely part of who I am. Being a Nazarite is part of who I am. But I am not those two things, and that's the entirety of me. I have a life, I have a job, I have a family. So there are things however, all of my entire life is informed by the Torah and its commandments and the covenant. The ethnicity? How is ethnicity my entire personality? Please back that up with anything. If you back it up with something that's of actual substance, I'll say, oh, you know what? You're right. I never thought of it that way. You are a Nazarite, so you follow all of the restrictions. Yes, Clashley, I am a Samson Nazarite, and I follow... You okay? Okay, bud? Careful, careful. Don't slip. Yes, I am a Samson Nazarite, and I follow all of the restrictions of the Samson Nazarite-ship. So what vow did you take? Well, Rastafari, I just said it, the Samson Nazarite-ship. I took my vow 16 years ago. Ihaz says, a real Jew is a wanderer. They don't have no land. Clearly, you've never read the Torah. And hey, fair enough. But that if you're going to say something about the Jews, maybe read the Jewish holy book. It's for you people. Yeah. Yeah, don't take it all. Leave some for others. What has been your favorite day so far? What in the world says? Oh, it's, I guess it's a 5-way tie, I suppose. You know, my marriage, birth of my kids, things like that. Favorite days. I don't know if I have a favorite day. What do you think of UAE? I don't know. I think that the Emirates is a pretty good thing that might work in this region too. But I don't know too much about the United Arab Emirates. I know that it's working. I know that it's working for those who are there. I hope the UAE will make peace with Israel and join the Abraham Accords. Do you consider yourself chosen by God? No, Emilion. I consider the Hebrew people selected to keep the Torah and the commandments, not chosen by God for anything else. Chosen were perhaps the patriarchs, not us. And I believe that humanity is humanity. We are all earthlings, made in the image of God. Not one nation is better than the other. Not one is chosen above or higher than the other. And I think that people who do claim to be chosen ones, unless they have actual things to back it up with, it's just a virtue signaling empty with a great capacity for vanity, pride, and arrogance. Why you dirty, says Mr. Yaru. Well, physically I'm not dirty. Mentally I'm very dirty. Your ethnicity shapes your entire identity. You don't believe in individualism. Your entire existence is predicated upon identity politics. Lay back. You obviously, A, have no idea who I am. B, I don't believe in individualism. What are you basing that on? Now you're just talking crap. I'm sorry. My entire existence is identity politics? Really? Identity politics? If you're talking to me and not somebody in the chat, I'm sorry, you are way, way off. Like really way off. The eyes never lie, Chico, says Lazy Television. That's from Scarface, right? The eyes, they never lie. Pretty sure that's Scarface. Let's continue. Is Zionism compatible with ultra-Orthodox Judaism? There's no such thing as ultra-Orthodox. That's just a bunch of crap. It's just a name for people who are Haredi, but there are so many different types of Haredi. Calling it ultra-Orthodox as if it's more, that's false. But I know what you mean. Yes, Zionism is compatible. Many ultra-Orthodox folk are Zionists. I'd also like to follow up this question that Palestine has no real linguistic roots to describe its people. No, that's fine. I don't mind that there are people here. They can call themselves Martians or mole people as far as I'm concerned. But if they're coming to, and they can have a right, to be here, and they have a claim ancestrally as well. They've been here for hundreds and thousands of years as well. I have nothing against that. Once they claim, oh, there was a nation, there was a kingdom, there was a place, no, that's crap. That's just absolute crap. There was never such an identity. There was never such a nation. There was never such a kingdom. There was never such a country. That's it. It didn't exist. If you want to say, if you want to actually get into it, go and look in the 1960s, right? The Palestinian identity and the flag and all of that was championed by Arafat and backed by the Soviets. Their national anthem is from the 1990s or early 2000s. It's like they got nothing. It's a made-up thing. Now, fair enough. All countries and nations are made up in some way. I'm all well and good with that. But to say that they have some ancestral claim that's based on their being a Palestine is crap. To say that they have an ancestral claim based on actual ancestors, that I'm willing to go with. After seeing how my wife reacts to scenes in soap operas, says Vigil, I don't trust the heart or emotions anymore. Yes, it's difficult to trust the heart and the emotions because it's very fragile. The heart is very fragile. The heart can break, the heart can twist, the heart can turn. Let's continue scrolling down in the chat. You talking bullshit, says Aquatic. Really? Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. By all means, do. IDF Propaganda Live, Yod Little says. Really, Yod Little? So you believe there was a state of Palestine? Who were its leaders? What was its currency? Where were its borders? Bullshit. You can't tell me any of that because it never existed. And it doesn't exist now either. Hamas had every possibility, had every opportunity to establish a Palestinian state, and they didn't do it. Jordan, for 20 years, from 1948 till 1967, ruled the West Bank of the Jordan and East Jerusalem. They didn't establish a Palestinian state. Egypt ruled Gaza from 1948 till 1967. They didn't establish a Palestinian state. They were given, or offered, rather, Gaza in the peace accords between Israel and Egypt. They didn't take it. They were offered it. They could have taken it and established a Palestinian state. They did no such thing. And the Palestinian leadership has time and again rejected every peace deal on the table, including Gaza, the West Bank, and East Jerusalem as a capital. And they said, no, we don't want that. So spare me the crap. There's no such thing. They don't want a Palestinian state. They just want the Hebrews not to have a state. They don't want their own land. They just want Israel not to have a land. That's the thesis. That's their entire thesis. And they're backing us up with bullshit claims of, suffering and this and that. It's all crap. If they really wanted to establish a Palestinian state, they had like 20 different opportunities to do so in the past 80 years, beginning with the 1947 partition plan, which they rejected, all the way up to the more recent plans, which they rejected. So the blood of the innocent is on the hands of the terrorist organizations, and there are so many innocent people dying in this war on all sides of this conflict, and it's horrible, and it's a tragedy, and I mourn the loss of innocent life, of men, women, and children. I don't tar people with the same brush, but the leadership and the Palestinian terrorist regimes, yeah, they're just full of shit. And they've got the better of you. Those who support them, they've got the better of you. Let's continue. Scrolling down. Is having long hair a Jewish thing? No, having long hair is a human thing, right? It's a human thing to have long hair. The Nazarite chip is a Jewish thing. Want me to tell you about your race, says PW. Oh, I would love to hear this. Yes, please tell me about my race, PW. I would love to hear it. You're a nobody, says... Oh, I'm sorry, the chat just jumped. Hang on a second. You're a nobody, says 94 bands. We want to hear for a big dog, a.k.a. the boss. I agree that I'm a nobody. As for Big Dog or the boss, I'm not sure who that is. Do you mean Bruce Springsteen? I'm not a fan of his. Then again, I never gave him enough of a shot. Let's continue. That hook nose is wild, says TK. Yes, I broke my nose a few times. If you look at it profile, You can see it just goes boink. You know, I broke it a few times. I used to have a much straighter nose. I broke it a few times, allegedly, because it's never been actually corroborated medically. X-rays and stuff were done. It's like right on the verge. So they didn't say that it's broken, but I got clocked in the schnoz a few times in different ways, and it has shaped my nose over the years. A lot of people in this live chat are just roasting you, LMFAO. Yes, King Bellies. Yes, that's fine. Roast me, laugh at me, ridicule me, insult me. I love it. I love each and every one of you. The spammers, the haters, the lovers, the Nazis, the trolls, the likes, the subs, the views, the chats, the comments. It's great. It's wonderful. It's lovely. It's at least some sort of a discussion. That's why there's no mods in this channel, and there's no... I don't ban anybody. I don't filter anybody. I don't censor anybody. I don't put people in timeouts. Nothing. There's the minimal YouTube censorship that I don't control, that they do. Other than that, keep it coming. I love the engagement. I love the discourse. I love the back and forth. Also, it's good to laugh. It's really good to laugh. If people get a kick out of roasting me, then that's great. Let them laugh. Laughter is good. It releases good, endorphins and feel-good hormones. It helps the immune system, and it's good for health and wellness to laugh. Let's continue. Have you ever had an opinion go 180? Yes. I mean, 180, I don't know. Likely, yeah, though I can't give you one right now off the top of my head. Josh says, you do just fine on Yom Kippur, don't you? LOL inside. Yom Kippur is my favorite holiday. The Holiday of Atonements is my favorite holiday of the year. It's my favorite day of the year. Definitely. The mountain... Oh, wait, sorry. Come on now. I'm trying to get the... Hold on. Here. The mountain bike guy. It's good to see you again. I think I've seen you before, mountain bike guy. Let's give you a like and a heart. And I deeply appreciate the contribution. All of your hard-earned money goes to charity after YouTube takes its cut. Here in Jerusalem, to organizations that give to those in need, individuals, families, Jewish, Muslim, Arab, Druze, Rasta, Shinto, Baha'i, Hindu, whoever. Let me tell you about my race, says Steve. All right, Steve, have at it. Go for it. Is the plan for a Greater Israel and New Khazaria going to happen? I don't know what plan you speak of. There are the borders of what is considered to be Greater Israel, but it never took place. There never was such a thing in reality as Greater Israel. The borders are uncertain and unclear. Also, greatness comes from the inside, not from land, not from territory, not from expansion, not from conquest. Greatness comes from the inside, not from something on the outside. And as for Khazaria, the Khuzar kingdom has faded away from reality, faded away from existence for hundreds of years, as far as I know. And there is the idea that all of them converted to Judaism, right? The king of Khuzar converted, and all of his people after him. You should make a Discord server, to be honest, as, yeah, people have told me, have a Discord, make a Discord, make a Discord. I don't know. Why? Why should I make a Discord? I'm doing fine here. Do Jews believe they're better than non-Jews, 94 says. I don't. Are there Jews who believe it? Of course. There are racists and bigots and haters and supremacists in every walk of life. That's it. There's no binding rabbinic law that says you must believe that you are higher and more noble and better and all other nations are cattle and they're animals and they have no soul. So yes, there are Jews who believe this. And there are Jews who say, no, much like me, we are all individuals, we are all earthlings, we are all humans made in the image of God. Not one is better than the other. It just so happens that because of our ancestors, we were selected to keep the Torah and the commandments and the Hebrew covenant, and other nations were selected to continue on their path and do their thing, and fulfill their job, complete their mission, perform their task. That's it. It's not one that's better than the other. It's simply, I have this, you have that. Oh, that's fun. Okay, let's continue. Where are your grandparents from? From the United States of America. Both sets, paternal and maternal grandparents, were born and raised in the United States of America. You have a pretty good mindset, King says. I have my moments, and I'm working on it. I just don't come with, a prepackaged idea of most things. I try to form a synthesis, right? I try to look at different viewpoints, different outlooks, different narratives, and shape my viewpoint with what I have to work with. That's it. Weren't you born in the Netherlands, John? No. No, I was not born in the Netherlands. I was born in Israel. I spent 3 years in the Netherlands with my family while my wife was getting her master's in Amsterdam. So it was a few years ago, and I never lived anywhere else. Sending love to all you in the chat today. Thanks, Eartha Kitlin. Kitlin. Thanks, I appreciate it. Eartha Kitt, what an actress. Is she still alive? I think she's still alive. I could probably make it come on. Woody, what's the drink? Okay, Miko says. I'm not sure what you mean, but this is coffee. How do you take your coffee? I'm curious. All right, let's continue. Scrolling down. The blacks believe they are the Jews because your people are so welcoming, says Joshua. I'm not sure what you mean. I know that there is the idea of some black Jewish Hebrew Israelite supremacy, but I have nothing to say about that. The people who I've been in touch with have always been very militant, very racist, very bigoted, and very hateful and spiteful and mean. And I don't know if that represents all of the black Hebrew Israelite movement. I'm assuming not. Nathan says, you lie about the Torah. No, I don't. It's actually in the Torah, if you care to look at it. And talk about the atrocity of the Talmud, because you're a filthy liar. Okay, I am a filthy liar, but not about this. What atrocities are there in the Talmud? Please, I would love to know what atrocities exist in the Talmud. And tell me, because the Talmud is a book of discussions and conversations. You need to actually back this up with what is the rabbinic law. And many people forget that part. A filthy liar that doesn't want to be exposed for your people's crimes and atrocities. Repent before the day, says Nathan. Well, sorry, man, you can go kick some rocks, because I'm not lying about the Torah. Everything I said is 100% true, and you can look it up in whatever translation you want. As for I don't talk about the atrocities of the Talmud, there are no such atrocities in the Talmud. The Talmud is a book of discussions, arguments, debates, conversations pertaining to rabbinic law. Primarily, there are other opinions and tidbits and bits of folklore and myth and legend that are thrown in there regardless of rabbinic law, but they're not binding. It's just teachings that were passed down. Thirdly, the Talmud in its current reincarnation or incarnation is a physical Talmud, but it was never meant to be. The oral law was meant to remain oral and progress and evolve with society and continue right through the generations. But because it was supposed to be, was about to be lost in the exile, they decided to do the unthinkable and write down the oral law. It was the lesser of two evils. And so there is the physical book that we call the Jerusalem Talmud or the Babylonian Talmud. And then there is the esoteric and spiritual element of it, the root of the Talmud, right? The root of the oral Torah, that is a little bit different than the physical thing. By the time it comes down to the physical book that you call the Talmud, it's already something very, very different. And it was written down a couple of thousand years ago or so, 1,800 years ago or so, 1,700 years ago, because of exile and destruction and woe and death, and not because this is the way. And we are awaiting, right, the establishment of the court and the Sanhedrin and the kingship and the temple, so we can actually have halacha progress with society, evolve alongside civilization once again. And this is in fact where the conservatives and the Reform Jews make a very good point. Halacha was never meant to be stuck in the past. It was meant to be a living, breathing, walking, talking oral Torah. Okay. But Nathan Juarez, you have nothing to back up your claims of me lying about the Torah, and you have nothing to back up your claims of me not talking about the atrocities of the Talmud, because I've had almost, hundreds and hundreds of live streams, and I've spoken of the Talmud so many times because people insist on bringing it up, so you're lying about that. And I don't want to be exposed. By all means, expose me for what? My people's crimes. Yes, do tell. What crimes? What are you talking about? And atrocities. And I do say, if there are people committing war crimes, they need to be brought to justice, put on trial. Same thing with crimes against humanity or atrocities. If there are individual sick people with a genocidal intent, they don't belong in the army and they don't belong in administration. So that kind of makes you full of it. Okay. You call us goyim? Really? I called you goyim? I've never done that pejoratively ever. Goyim means nations. That's the literal meaning of the word goyim. People use it pejoratively as an insult. I don't. Israel is also a goy. That's the singular form of goyim. Goyim plural, goy. That means nation. You believe that we're less than you. Bullshit. Once again, Nathan, I don't know, Nathan. I don't know whose live stream you think that you're on, but you're really, really delusional. I would get some help. Talk to a professional, do what you need to do to get your head straight, because you're talking about things that have nothing to do with this live stream. Like, literally nothing. Rothschilds, Illuminati, Rockefellers, you liars, speak about them, you liar. All right? The Rothschilds were a very wealthy family, and they were very much into finances. They were very part of the Zionist enterprise in the late 19th, early 20th century. The Illuminati, I don't know anything about. The Rockefellers, much like the Rothschilds, were champions and kingpins of industry and finances. How is that a lie? Nathan Juarez, really, seriously, get some help. Get some help. Maybe go to a different live stream where there's like a Jewish supremacist, and maybe say that to them, because here it's just completely missing the mark. Everyone is created equal in God's image. I agree, Crazy Dan. Nobody is higher or lower. What are these people on? Precisely. Nathan says, stop lying. You see, these people, they actually have no substance to their argument whatsoever. They can't actually marshal an argument. They keep going with these ad hominems. They keep going with these propaganda terrorist slogans. Oh, Israel is this. Oh, Israel is that. Boo. These anti-Semitic or Jew-hating things. Oh, the Talmud. Have you ever read the Talmud? No. Do you know what it's about? No. Do you know it's not rabbinic law? No. But oh, the Talmud. These people are so full of shit. Let's continue. Interest on loans is crazy, says Jaded Rabbit. Yeah, depends where you live. Depends where you live. That's true. That's probably true. Why do some people hate America so much, despite using the internet and American tech services? Because people like to hate, random guy on the internet. People like to hate. Humans love to hate. Humans love to make others smaller, to make themselves greater. And I mean that in the general sense, right? People are intelligent. Groups are stupid. That's the way it goes. The internet isn't American, idiot. No, it's not American. But a lot of American innovation has contributed in one way or the other to the World Wide Web and the internet as such. Operator Full Metal says, what causes you to differ from Christianity in your beliefs? Because I don't believe Jesus is God. I don't believe Jesus is Messiah. I believe Jesus is a dead man. No more, no less. That's a pretty fundamental belief. I also don't believe in any kind of a trinity. I believe God is one singular, unique, special, indivisible, and there are facets of revelation known as the 10 Sfirot, or the Kabbalistic tree of life, but that is not God. Those are revelations, emanations, garments, clothing through which God is revealed in the world, much like I am revealed to you here now through a digital projection of zeros and ones and pixels, but it's not me. Yet, you are getting the things that I am conveying. You can hear them through your speaker. You can see them on your screen. But if someone were to ask you, is that actually his voice? No. Is that actually him? No. It's a digital projection. It's zeros and ones and electrical signals traveling through the world, coming to you on your screen. And yet, from this manifestation, from this digital projection, you can make a lot of assumptions. We can make a connection. There's a lot of merit to it. And still, I wouldn't say that this is actually me, in the very same way that you can look at me and gain a lot of knowledge of who I am and what I'm doing here, but you don't know the essence of me. You don't know how fast my heart is pounding, what food I'm digesting, what chemicals I'm secreting right now from my brain, right? You don't know what my pancreas is doing right now, nor do I. There are some things that happen organically and automatically that are outside of my conscious, right? I can't tell you how many times per second I'm breathing or what my heart rate is right now. Right. Let's continue. Interesting concepts, brother, says Ryan. Yes, it is very interesting. That's why I like having these discussions. That's what this live stream is here to do. I enjoy having discussions with people about things that they and I would consider interesting, sometimes less interesting. Then how did he rise on the third day and heal others, Crazy Dan says, because there is such a precedent in the Hebrew Bible of rising and ascending and healing. I have no problem with people living, dying, resurrecting, ascending, performing miracles, healing people. All of that has its roots in the Hebrew Bible. All of it. The one thing that has no root whatsoever in the Hebrew Bible is Jesus is God. There is a revelation of God incarnate to the children of Israel. We have no such way. We have no such tradition. We have no such precedent, which means that to other people there can be a God in flesh. I'm not gatekeeping. To other people there can be a God incarnate. To other people there might be somebody who is a man God, who is a human being made from God, a son of God. But the Hebrew faith, the Hebrew Torah, the Hebrew tradition has no such thing. That's why I say it's for you, it's not for me. That's it. That's the difference. How did it happen? It happened because that's how things went down at the time. There is a precedent in the Hebrew Bible of people living, dying, resurrecting, and ascending. Religion is boring, says Lasso Kid. Yes, many people do think religion is boring. I disagree, but that's, because I'm more drawn to it. That's fine. What's your tribe? Nick says, I am traditionally a Levite. Our family is an ancient family of Levites. I don't have the proper tree to back this up with, right? The proper family tree. But traditionally, for thousands of years, we have been of the tribe of Levi. Meow says, so then how do you constitute who is going to be the Messiah and who isn't? What's going to be your criteria? Well, first of all, Maimonides, in the book of Law Mishneh Torah, Yad HaChazaka, he brought in his criteria for who would be designated as Messiah. There are always contenders for the throne walking around in creation. At any given moment, you have a lot of people who are contenders for the throne of the King of Israel. The only question is, will they be revealed? Will they be anointed? Will they be accepted by the people and given the crown? That is all that this is. The kingship is up for grabs, but the people need to actually anoint a king, give him the crown, and have it and reconstitute the kingship. So my criteria is irrelevant. It really, really is. The point is that I don't even think a king is a prerequisite. I think if we do have a king, that's all well and good. We've had many kings of Israel and Judah over the years. No problem. A king who is a man who will live and die like all the kings before him. That's it. That's all that is. A messenger, a sovereign, a king. As for who it's going to be, it depends on the people of Israel and who they anoint. That's it. That's all it depends on. It depends on us. Gotta have a king, says So-So. Yeah, so that's a difference of opinion among those who enumerate the 613 commandments. Is there indeed a commandment to have a king? Some say yes and some say no. Some say there is no such commandment, but if you do have a king, there are the commandments of the king put forth in the Torah, right? Not a lot of women, not a lot of gold, not a lot of horses, to write a Torah scroll, put it on his arm, things like that. Who's going to sell him the donkey, says Rick. I have no idea what you're talking about. If you're talking about the Messiah on the donkey, donkey in Hebrew is chamor. Chamor is an acronym or a anagram of chomer, that is physical or material. The idea of the spiritual riding on the material, that's what that means, generally speaking. The idea of the Messiah riding on a donkey is the spiritual element riding on the physical element, in the very same way that the evil angel Samech Mem was riding on the serpent in Eden. In that very same way. Niv says, hey Niv, good to see you. Shavua Tov. Wisdom, understanding, and knowledge are Jewish gold. I think it's human gold. It doesn't have to be Jewish gold, it's human gold. Takito Biar Edin says, you are full of shit. Yes, I am, but eventually I will go to the bathroom and excrete my feces through my anus. Good morning, everyone, says Take Time and Pause. Hey, good to see you again, Pause. My cat is the Antichrist, says Bazazao. Hey, Bazazao, I've seen you on, where have I seen you? I've seen you on the Rabbi Nazarite Yehuda HaTurjuman stream, and I've seen you occasionally, I think, on Rabbi Moshe's Chevra stream, or something like that. M. Sohali says, nation of excuses. What excuses? What are you talking about? Are you talking about Israel? That's not a thing. Truly not a thing. What excuses? HMD says, free Palestine. I agree. Thank you, HMD, for supporting Israel. Thank you for supporting the IDF. Free Palestine from Hamas. Free Palestine from the human pieces of garbage that oppress them, that kill them, that put them in the line of fire. Free the Palestinian people. Free the Gazans and the ones in the West Bank of the Jordan from their oppressive regimes, from their bloodthirsty, warmongering, death cult leaders. Thank you for supporting Israel. It's so important. And I really appreciate that. Yes, we agree, Rabbi. No, I'm not a rabbi. Is not real, is not a thing. Okay, I don't know what you're talking about. If you're talking about Israel, then yes, it very much is a thing as an actual state as an ancient kingdom, as a people, as a nation, as a tongue, as a group. All of that has been around for thousands of years. The modern-day state of Israel has been around for about 78 years. That much is correct. Working on a Sunday? Yes, there is no Sunday in the Hebrew faith. We have one day. And the Sabbath was yesterday. The Sabbath ended about 15 hours ago. Edomite imposters, Roy Burns says. Yes, there's no such thing. The Edomites are the sons of Esau. We are the sons of Jacob. Ergo, we are not Edomites. And there is the idea, Josephus, I think, brings it down, that the Edomites in their entirety converted to Judaism. So you're kind of wrong about that, however you want to look at it. You should wear a kippah, says Jacob. No, I should not. The hair of the Nazarite is the Oraita from the Torah. The kippah is the Rabbanan, Divrei Sofrim, from modern-day halacha. So no, I should not wear a kippah. You are mistaken. Meloch kol haaretz kvodo. On that we are agreed. Leit atar panui mineh. There is no place that is vacant of his presence. But Jacob, I appreciate the sentiment. Why wear a kippah? You wear a kippah in order to basically symbolize the thing that is above you, right? And to keep you humble and to keep you grounded. The thing is that the kippah has become such a divisive tool, such a thing to judge people by. It has become a club to beat people over with. It's a horrible, horrible thing. Those who do wear a kippah as a symbol of being religious and pious and humble, to be in awe of God, that's what yarmulke means. Yarmulke, yarem mulya, fearful or in awe before God. In the positive sense, that's the origin of that. The origin of the yarmulke is in the priestly head covering. And it's said in the Talmud that the ancient pious people of old would not walk 4 cubits without a head covering, right? To symbolize that idea of that which is outside of them. Kabbalistically, the kippah symbolizes the inner light and the outer light. That is why some people wear 2 yarmulkes, one on top of the other. Why do all of you look alike? I Swallow. Hey, I Swallow, come. You've been here before. Good to see you again. Why do we all look alike? We don't. The Hebrew people are many and varied. Whether it's the diaspora and the exile, whether it's conversion, we definitely don't all look alike. I don't know where you're getting that from, but okay, that's fine. Dude, you have been brainwashed over the years, says Richard Bunt. Really? What have I been brainwashed about? Do tell. Please, you seem to know me better than I know myself. Go for it. What am I brainwashed about? He said the thing. Yes, I did, Subzo. Matthew says, Israel invading Palestine. No, there's no such thing. Israel did not invade. You cannot invade your own ancestral home. It was the Palestinians, right, who invaded because they are Arabs. And Arabs come from Arabia. Jews come from Judea. So who invaded who? It's just a land grab in disguise. No, it is our historically verifiable ancestral home. You're full of crap. The ultimate goal is the illegal expansion of Israel. Thoughts on that? False. If that were true, we would not give Egypt back. We would not give Sinai back to Egypt. We would not recede from Lebanon, southern Lebanon. We would not disengage unilaterally from Gaza. We would not offer the Palestinian leadership the Gaza and the West Bank and the east side of Jerusalem as a capital to establish a state. What you're saying is demonstrably false. It's just inaccurate. So what you're saying is not true. Look it up. All of it. All of it is not true. Why do you not follow Hinduism as it's a universal religion and oldest? Because, Raj, I think Hinduism is a polytheism, and I do not follow a multiplicity of deities. I follow the one Hebrew God. Though there's a lot of wisdom in the Hindu faith, I do not derive faith from it. I derive wisdom from it. Same thing with the different Vedas and Ayurveda, right? TK says, you're not from Palestine. Really? I'm pretty sure the Romans called Judea Syria Palestina to punish the Jews for rebelling against them. That's where I'm sitting right now. In Jerusalem. I call it Jerusalem. They call it El-Quds or El-Uds or Urushalim. It has many names. But yes, I am indeed definitely from the place that the Romans called Palestine. Unfortunately for them, they wanted to turn the Jews away from Judea and have them forget about Jerusalem. Didn't happen, right? Over the years, the Roman Empire fell, but the Jews are still here, like the vermin, cockroaching rats that we are. The man is in Israel. That is correct, fine weather. That is correct. I think that you know a lot about a lot, says Kieran. I have my moments. There's more of what I don't know than what I do know, and I'm mostly ignorant about most things. But I'm always trying to expand my knowledge, right, and widen my spectrum of, well, of knowing and doing. Okay. Scrolling down. Do DNA tests if you aren't related to the bones leave. No, that is false, my username. A DNA test doesn't mean jack shit because there is such a thing as conversion. Even if I lived as a Gentile in Europe or Asia or Africa and only converted this morning, I am 100% de facto fused to the Hebrew people and am part of the tribes of Israel. People get this mistaken. It doesn't matter what my DNA is. It doesn't matter what my genetics say. It doesn't matter who I'm biologically born from. I definitely am 100% a Hebrew insofar as I'm born to Hebrew parents in the Hebrew land, follow the Hebrew Torah, the commandments, and the covenant. But even if I didn't, even if I was born a Gentile somewhere else in the world, and I arrived this morning after conversion in Israel, and here I am, fresh off the boat or the plane or the hand glider, I'm still 100% a Hebrew man living in the Hebrew land. So I don't know exactly what you're talking about there. DNA tests have nothing to do with anything. Incidentally, many people are under the false impression that DNA tests are illegal in Israel. They are not. They're legal. They're simply regulated by the government. That's not what the black Israelites say, Joshua says. Well, I'm not sure if you're talking to someone in the chat or me, but okay. Take Time says, I'm amazed how many people are triggered so early on a Sunday. Yes, it's true. You know what? And just to trigger some more, let's have some underleg farts, just to break the tension a little bit. What do you say? Are we ready? Okay. Wait, now the other one? Yeah, well, that one was better. All right, and now that we've gotten that out of the way. Yeah, there you go, son. Hey, like father, like son. Proud of you, kid. Okay, how do you justify no longer doing animal sacrifices, liturgical prepper says? Because animal sacrifices were not there from the onset. In Eden, there was no altar. In Eden, there were no animal sacrifices. Everything was vegan. And I'm of the opinion that the third temple will be a vegan temple, a house of love and prayer and worship for all earthlings, for all creation, for all nations and tongues and people. Where did the Star of David come from? OK Miko says it's a Kabbalistic symbol that represents the unity of the masculine and feminine divine presence. That's what that is. Where did it come from? From the Kabbalah. It has its origins in Eden or shortly after the expulsion. Now, stars have been used by people, faiths, and religions ever, since time immemorial, right? 5-pointed, 6-pointed, 7-pointed, 10-pointed stars. The star represents that which is outside of us. The star represents the shining thing that we are, right? The ideal. That whole thing. Stinky skills, says Dark Pink. No, it's not stinky. It's just funny. In Eden, there was no sin, so no reason for atonement, Silver Scrapper says. Yes, there was the potential of sin, but no sin quite. That's correct. Man, some of these questions are crazy, says the memester. Hey, memester. Yes, some of the questions are crazy. Some of the addressings are also crazy. So that's what we're here for. We're never going to survive, said Seal, unless we get a little crazy. So please, get a little crazy with me on this Sunday morning. Rat physiognomy on that impression went crazy, Silence and Violence says. I'm not sure what you mean, but okay. Toda says, did you start being a Nazarite after your first service in the army? And what are the rules on hairstyles in the army currently? Well, I'm not serving currently. I took my Nazarite vow 16 years ago, so I was already in reserve duty. I was in mandatory service from 20 till 22. I took my Nazarite vow at 27, so I was in active duty in reserves. I went a lot, whether it's for active duty whether it's actual duty in defense, or whether it's medical training, or whether it's I did different things over the years. So the Nazariteship had nothing to do with my army service. As for the rules, if you're a religious person, a man, you're allowed to have side curls. You're not allowed to have long hair in mandatory service. In the reserves, I had this in the reserves, and I kept it inside of my uniform, or I tied it up and put the helmet on top. Same thing with the side curls. But currently, I don't know. Presumably for men and women, it's the same thing. Now, women are allowed to wear their hair in dreads if they are uniform, neat dreadlocks. They're not allowed to have free-form Nazarite dreadlocks. They must have uniform dreadlocks. Do you think Jesus is burning in excrement? No, I don't. I think he is a dead man. No more, no less. Let's continue. Light Roof says, Light Roof, hey, you've been here before. Good to see you again. What do you think of Chabad who think the Rebbe is Messiah even though he's died? I think that not all of Chabad thinks this. There are Chabadnikim who think that he is still alive. I think that that's not true. There are people who think he was Messiah. I think he may have been, but again, he was never, then he died, just like Jesus. He could have been the king, but he was never crowned, and then he died. So there are now other contenders for the throne. It's as simple as that. We do not follow dead kings. We follow in their footsteps, we follow their legacy, we follow their teachings, we follow their utterances, right? We do not follow them. We do not follow them as though they are living. We follow living kings, not dead kings. You look like a stoner, says Jay Parr. Yes, I do. So then, do you think there is no life after death? No, I think that there is something after death, but the actual afterlife is not what happens after death. The actual afterlife is what happens after we partake of the fruit of the tree of life, hence afterlife. After death, it's just a waiting room. You can think of it, right? In the Hebrew faith, we have no concept of eternal damnation or eternal rest in Eden or hell, or heaven or hell. There's no such thing in the Torah. There is no such thing. What we have that approximates these ideas is temporary, something like purgatory, right? A temporary place of purgation, of cleansing, of purification, a place where you shed your bad karma, as it were, and become clean. And then it's Eden. There's a higher Eden and a lower Eden, but those are both waiting rooms. We are all waiting, the living and the dead alike, are waiting for phase 2 of creation, which will come into being when we partake together, united, God willing, from the fruit of the tree of life. Satanic, says Roy Byrne. Really? I'm satanic? Prove it. Also, do you mean like Levian Satanism, or do you mean like devil-worshipping traditional? How satanic am I? Let's continue. That song is a banger, says the Manatee. No being in the bosom of Abraham? No, that's a Christian thing. Was that a New Testament story? Yes, it was. There's no such thing as the bosom of Abraham in the Hebrew faith. Don't believe things that you can't see, says Alzi. Yes, that's very well and good. Some people operate like that, and I have no problem with that. Some people are like, nope, if I can't see it, if it's not tangible, I have no physical proof, no evidence, nothing to back it up, that's it, it's done, I'm not buying it, not even a little. On the other hand, consider the subatomic world, where for a very long time, you with your naked eye cannot see it. Agreed? You cannot see atoms, you cannot see protons and electrons and neutrons and quarks. You can't see them with the naked eye. What you do is you devise apparatuses to widen your spectrum of visual acuity. And then you're able to see very, very, very close and very, very, very far. Telescopes and microscopes, right? Electron microscopes, Hubble and James Webb telescopes. These are things that we use to increase our vision because biologically we are limited. We have a spectrum of light that we can see, so we make X-ray machines. And we make, and we have for the infrared things, and we have, right, because we have a limited spectrum biologically, but we have a near endless spectrum technologically. In the very same way that we devise tools to widen our visual perception, we devise tools to widen our spiritual perception. In the same way that we have antennas and different devices and receivers to pick up Wi-Fi waves, radio waves, TV waves, and so on, you can devise a spiritual antenna within you to pick up those waves that you cannot see, the things that you cannot hear, that you biologically are limited in. If you have the spiritual technology and you're able to devise these tools and construct these apparatuses inside of you, you will be able to widen your spectrum of reception and of conception. That's what heightened awareness is. That is what widening, right, of your horizons is. In the very same way that we make tools to widen our limited spectrum of understanding and sight and sound, we do the same thing, right? We do the same thing spiritually. So when you say don't believe things you can't see, I say, okay, do you not believe in the subatomic world? Or do you believe that because you can see it through a tool, that verifies it? So make a tool. Cultivate the right tools to pick up the spiritual signals. You know what I'm saying? Okay. There's a thing where intelligence can be unhealthy. Sorio says, yes, too much of a good thing. I agree. TK says, just mass report that Jew like they do to us. Well, first of all, I've never reported anybody. Second of all, yes, please, 136 people here right now, all of you, report me. Report me, do whatever the hell you want. It's a free-range chat. It's a free-range interwebs. You want to report me for some crap? Feel free to do it. You want to report this dumbass TK, and of course, as a fellow dumbass, I have sympathy for you, but this is just you talking shit. So by all means, continue talking shit. It's all well and good. It's all welcome, really. The insulters, the haters, the spammers, the Nazis, the lovers, the shit talkers, they are all welcome in this chat. Nick says, I will report you for being awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I do. I have moments where I'm awesome. I have moments where I'm not. So what? The guy's Jewish? WTF? I just got here. Yes, extraterrestrial. Yes, I am indeed of the remnants of the kingdom of Judah. Wow, people are so secretly racist. No, they're very much outspoken about their racism. The hardcore casual says Palestinian families have lived in that area for generations. I agree. Often for centuries. I also agree. You think it's not an invasion because Jewish ancestors lived in the land 2,000 years ago? No, the reason I think it's not an invasion is because, first of all, there's no such thing as Palestinian. Second of all, whatever you want to call them, people did live here who were not Jews for centuries and millennia. On that we are agreed. Jews also have a history going back over 3,000 years, continued and unbroken presence in this land. So I don't understand your question. It's not an invasion because this is our ancestral home. It always has been our ancestral home for thousands of years. You cannot be an invader in your own home. You cannot be an occupier of your own home. You just return to your home. There's been a Jewish presence here for the entirety of the time in an unbroken line. More people, less people, right? Depending on the exile, depending on things that were coming and going with the people here, coming abroad, people moving, people arriving. But there's been a Jewish presence here. There's also been a non-Jewish presence here. I have no problem with that. Other people seem to have a great deal of issues with Jews having the state of Israel. And to them I say, gee, that's too bad, because it's a thing, and it's real. Hey, Costa is here, my man. It's not an invasion because we came in and bought lands and got unrecognized, getting aggressive when the Arabs retaliated in the Arab revolts. Yes, I mean, there are pogroms and persecutions going on ever since the 1830s and different massacres and the leadership, the religious extremist leadership inciting the people, the massacres of Hebron and Tzfat, the looting of, it never ends. Okay. Not your own home, so your argument is null and void, Richard says. Really? It's not my home? What are you basing that on? I'm a Hebrew man in the Hebrew land. So you're kinda not sure, I don't know what you're talking about. UN recognition. Hey, Costa Tosta, he's a fellow Israeli. So check out, he live streams as well, which is a lot of fun. So check out his channel if you're into he's not technically, halakhically Jewish, and he has served in the army. And he's very secular, if I'm not mistaken, but he's a lot of fun to watch. So if you want to see somebody who's, different in Israel, check his channel out. You had your shot at conquering Israel. Move along, says So-So. I'm not sure who you're talking to, So-So. Gordo says, I'm tired of Palestine, fuck Palestine. Well, look, again, there's no such thing. There never was such a thing. But the people are innocent. The people are born into this conflict. The people are born into being refugees. The people are born into poverty and squalor because their leadership would rather terrorize Israelis than actually raise the quality of life of the people whom they purport to care for, which is bullshit, because all they do is steal their money and use it for terrorism. That is not caring for your population. That is not doing the right thing for your people. White King says he's not European. Yes, it's true. I'm not. There is a point in time where my ancestors were kicked out into Europe. That much is true. Does that make us European? No, it means that's where we were kicked out to. Hey man, didn't mean for my comment to seem racist. I saw where someone had said something to the effect of report that Jew as I joined. I didn't mean anything. Oh, okay, so you didn't mean it as a racist thing. I didn't necessarily think you meant it as a racist thing, only simply as you not knowing what's going on and just saying, oh, you know, like the people who say Jew detected, opinion rejected, where it's like, oh, it doesn't matter what this person thinks or what he's doing. If he carries the name of Yid, right, of Jew, he already should do X, Y, and Z. So, okay, cool. I'm glad that it wasn't racist. It's all good. I do mean it as a racist thing. Okay, Richard, at least you are honest and upfront about it. That has merit. It's commendable. Good for you. Keep telling the truth. Telling the truth is very important. Meows, thank you for answering my question, sir. I have one more. Is God's judgment only on earth or even in the afterlife? So again, I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me in creation. The idea of God's judgment, right, what's called din, right, and it corresponds with vengeance and wrath and the left hand, the left pillar, withholding, pushing away. It corresponds to many different names of God and war and things of that nature. The idea of judgment is in part... Oh, okay. The idea of judgment is something that has a facet that is revealed in this world and in this life and in this reality. But the idea of the divine attribute known as judgment is something that is part of the blueprint of creation in and of itself. So, yes, it is also in the afterlife. If you mean God's revelation as a judge, as an adjudicating force, then I don't know. We will live and learn, won't we? We will see. Do you like Trump, says Dark Pink? I don't know if I like him or dislike him. He's done some good things. He's done some bad things. I have no idea. I didn't vote for him. I haven't voted in the U.S. elections. I have never voted there, and I haven't voted here in over 20 years because I hate politics and I think that they are vile. What do you do for a living, sir? I'm a writer. That's what I do. Let's get cracking one. What do you do? Heard you talk for 60 seconds. You're awesome. Thanks, Turbocharged. I appreciate that. Where are you from? Khairdin Bikini? I am in Jerusalem. Where are you from, man? Isn't Jesus your God? No, Jesus is a dead man. No more, no less. That's all he is. He's just dead. And he may have been a very good man, a righteous man, a contender for the throne and all that, but he's dead. So Jesus is not my God. No. Do you still resent the Romans for destroying your temple? No, they did what they thought was right. The temple was already destroyed. By the time they burned it down, all they did was burn the physical building. The temple was burned from the inside out, right? And it was the Hebrews who burned it. It was the Hebrews who were fighting each other. It was the kingdom of Judah that was treating each other, right? They were mistreating each other. The baseless hatred was rampant. The bloodshed was rampant. And so all the Romans did was destroy a building that was already meaningless and void of any actual merit and spiritual substance. So do I resent them? No, I don't. They just did what they felt was right. It's a fairy tale, says Chagai. I'm not sure what you're referring to, but yes, things are fairy tales. And you should ask the psychoanalysts what fairy tales are and what they mean to the human psyche. A super chat came in. ERK says, I love your personality, bro. You're so unbelievably open-minded, well-spoken, descriptive, transparent, and honest. Keep on chewing it up, bro. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I have my moments. There are times when I am not as open-minded, not as well-spoken, not as descriptive or transparent. I do try to be honest every single day, all the time, to the best of my ability, and that I also screw up as well. But I really appreciate the sentiment. Also, I'm reminding you, everything you give after YouTube takes its cut goes to charity. Here in Jerusalem, to charitable organizations that operate in East Jerusalem and West Jerusalem that serve the entire population of Jerusalem, right? Arabs and Druze and Muslims and Christians and Jews and Hindus and Baha'is and Rastas and Shintos and atheists and agnostics and whoever else is in need. Greedy Merchant. Yes, indeed. Wagnug says, you look like a bum. Yes, I do look like a bum. That's great. Isn't it great to look like a bum? Krusty the Clown. Hey, Krusty Monkey. Yes. Hey. Yes, it's Krusty. Like any human, you are only human. Exactly, memester. Precisely. Precisely. That guy Brooks is super open-minded. Yes, I've been told, don't be so open-minded that your brain falls out entirely. To which I always say, too late. You're a tunnel-dwelling Mizrahi, says White King. Really, I am? Uh-oh. Elixir says, by your logic, as a Caucasian American, my ancestors at some point were Africans. Guess I can go claim my land in Zimbabwe. How far back do we go in claiming ancestral rights? No, that's not the logic. If you still have ancestors in Africa in an unbroken chain, if you still called Africa your home for the entirety of the time, yes, I would say you have some sort of a claim. The Jews have always been here for thousands of years, right? We have maintained a presence here. We have always come back here from the different exiles. We have always had it in our hymns and our prayers. We turn towards Israel and Jerusalem when we are in prayer. We have always considered it our home and all other nations to be temporary homes, always seeking to come back to Zion. If that is how you treated Africa, then yes. Also, you're absolutely right. It does depend on the time frame from which you choose to say, okay, it starts here. Do you go back 30 years, 300 years, 30,000 years, 500,000 years? How far back do you go? That is precisely the question. Some people think history started in 1948. Some people think it started in 1967. Some people think it started in the 90s. Some people think it started 3, 5, 10, 20,000 years ago. It all depends on where you started from. By that rationale, you're absolutely right. Right? So Texas should go back to the Mexicans, Australia should go back to the Aboriginals, Canada and those areas should go back to the First Nation people there. But it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that at all. But no matter how far back you go, if it's in the last 4,000 or 5,000 years, let's say 3,500, okay? There's been a Jewish presence in this land, unbroken, historical evidence, archaeological proof, written in Hebrew. So it's a little different. It's more than just logic. Okay, let's continue. The Britannica only mentions Palestine in 1926, nothing about Israel, says Citizen. Yes, Palestine was the name that Rome gave the region, right? Syria, Palestina, to upset the Jews and to break the connection between the Judeans and the kingdom of Judah and Judea. And that is also verifiable historical proof and fact. And on the gate of Titus, you see a Roman soldier carrying the 7-candled candelabra, the menorah. What does that tell you? Land was owed to you? No, the land, mind phantom, does not belong to anybody. Land belongs to the owner of the land. Creation belongs to the creator. The land belongs to God. We, as a people, were given the caretakership and stewardship of this little slice of land. Humanity was given dominion over creation. We were given the stewardship and caretakership of this spaceship Earth, this organic spaceship we are hurtling through space on. So nobody said land was owed. You said that, not me. I did not mention any covenant. I did not mention any promise. All I said is there's historical evidence of an unbroken chain of Jews living in this land for over 3,000 years. You people seem to be misunderstanding and not comprehending the very basic things that I am saying, and that's on you, that's not on me. Okay. Let's continue. Shalom Chaver, shalom to you. Then why were you exiled? Because we went against the Torah, fine weather. The Torah explicitly states if you go against the covenant and you forsake each other and the commandments, you will be kicked out eventually. It will start with you, right, with the rain not falling and the crops failing, and then disease and pestilence, and then enemies will be at your gates. And if you still don't get what the hell you're doing wrong, and if you still don't return to the Torah, then your enemies will show up and exile you into lands where you will be sold into slavery and bondage in places whose languages you do not speak, and you will live there in awful, awful conditions, and you will remain but a pittance of what you used to be. But, says the Torah, you will always repent, you will always return to the Torah, you will always consequently or from the onset return to the land of your ancestors. The covenant exists, the covenant persists, the covenant remains, Even if the Hebrew people break it, it is unbroken. Even if we transgress against Torah, we will go back to Torah. Even if we do not keep the commandments, we will go back to keeping the commandments. This is our legacy. This is our inheritance. This is what we have always done. We screw up, enemies show up, we repent. But then we screw up, we get comfortable, we get complacent, so we screw up, and then we repent. That's how it goes. That's the way it's always gone. Stupid people become religious, says Mando's culture. Some stupid people become religious, some very smart people are religious, and vice versa. Let's continue. Stephen Sparks says they can't comprehend what a woman is, so trying to explain history to them is pointless, but that's just my opinion. I mean, look, it's not me trying to explain history. It's me having conversations with people. I'm not here purporting to be the epitome of all great knowledge and wisdom or whatnot. No, I'm a simple dumbass in the Middle East with a phone and a cup of coffee. I don't know more than anybody. I'm not more knowledgeable in anything, and I'm very ignorant. But I've lived a bit, and I've seen a thing or two, and I've read a thing or two. Today's Israel is not the same as the Israel that was led out of Egypt. That is correct, Nick. Back then they were 12 tribes, and now we are the remnants of 2.5 tribes, right? Judah, Benjamin, and parts of Levi. So it's true. Citizen Z33 says 110 now. So the idea of the Jews being kicked out of 109 or 110 countries is propaganda. It is false. The Jews were kicked out of between 520 countries, and that it's including the Arab Muslim countries who actually ethnically cleansed the Jews from their midst, or under threat of annihilation and the sword, the Jews left of their own accord. But 15 to 20, and that includes the famous ones like Portugal, Spain, England. But no, Jews have been kicked out of individual towns, counties, cities, villages, and so on. But countries? No, it's like between 15 and 20, not even close to 109 or 110. Look it up. It's historically inaccurate and just Nazi propaganda at this point. Pardon me. Let's Get Cracking says, I'm a med student. Whew, good luck to you. Thanks for asking. What do you write? Anything we might read? Yes and no. You may have read some of my stuff. I'm a screenwriter by trade. I went to film school. The recent community tab post is the graduation photo from my film school 13 years ago in July this week. What do I write? My day-to-day job is a content and marketing writer and editor. Right? That's what I do for a living. But I write. I'm a creative writer. I've written poetry. I've read my poetry on stage. I've written and performed slam poetry. I've performed poetry on the radio, and I haven't yet had a film or a series produced. But other things that I've written for other companies, blogs. I've populated different blogs over the years, sometimes from scratch, way before AI was a thing, a mainstream thing. Doing it by hand, as it were. And so yeah, I'm a copywriter. That's what I do for a living. Let's continue. Scrolling down. 109 is what I was informed. Well, Terry Harris, look it up. You're mistaken. It's like about 15 to 20 maximum. Who do you support in World Cup? Gordo says, asking the deeper questions. I'm a fan of the World Cup. I've been following it, and I don't have any support. I support good soccer or European, football. I support good football. That's what I support. It doesn't matter to me who wins, as long as there's good soccer. Give me a good game. Entertain me, oh athletes, with your athletic prowess and acumen. Let's continue. Turbocharged. What's your thoughts on saying the Tetragrammaton out loud? That it's not something the Hebrews do, right? We pronounce it Adonai, Aleph Daled Nun Yod. My thoughts are that people are free to do whatever they want. Our tradition is of not doing that. Whether it's because it was hidden, or whether it's because it's simply not the right name to begin with. Because the Yod He Vav He represents the masculine, the name Adonai represents the feminine. So when we look at one name with our eyes and speak a different name with our speech, we bring together the masculine and feminine presence, and in doing so, we bring new energy into creation. There's a reason why we don't pronounce it as it's written. There's a reason why we see it but pronounce a different name. It's two things coming together. right? The masculine presence and the feminine presence. Let's continue. He for sure is giving his donations to West Bank illegal settlers. False, the manatee. You can look. I have the receipts up on my community tab, and I give 100%. I have my analytics up there, my bank account statement. You know, I mean, I cropped it out, right? And the receipt from the places that I give to, and you can look them up. They give all around Jerusalem. They don't care what religion you are, where you come from, what your skin color is, you know, how much you went to the bathroom that day. Doesn't matter. Turbocharge says, well, thank you. You're quite welcome. Now, take everything I'm saying with a big grain of hummus, right? Because do your research. Do your research. Manatee, you're a Jew yourself. Why are you living in America? Because you want to destroy it and actively are. Lying Jew. Oh, really? Manatee is a Hebrew man or woman? Cool. Are you rich, says Juan. I always answer this with what Bob Marley answered. My richness is life. My richness is life. You know, wealth and possessions and material things and financial wealth, that's all well and good, and I do have that. But my richness, more than anything, is life. That's what it is. So yes, I am rich. Shame Million says, do you think Chabad after the death of the rabbi is Christian? No, I don't. I think that some people in Chabad think of the Messiah, right, their Messiah, as a living Messiah, and that's not according to the Torah, and it's not according to the Hebrew way. There are some who even go so far as to say that he is indeed the incarnation of the Holy One, blessed be he, and that is already way more towards Christianity. Are they Christian? No, they're not Christian. They're not. They simply have such a faith in the tzaddik, they have such a faith in the Rebbe, right, that they are unable to say goodbye. And I have some sympathy for that, but they are doing things that are de facto against halacha. So if they purport to carry on the Hasidic sect and court of Chabad, they're going about it the wrong way. But most Chabadnikim are not messianics. I've heard when you first take a breath... Oh, it's all right. Oh. And when you last take a breath, you speak God's name. True? I have no idea. What does that mean? Do you mean literally your first and last breath in this world are speaking the name of God? There was somebody, and I put this up in the community tab as a post as well. There's someone who said that with every exhale and every inhale, we are speaking the name of God. And there was a back and forth in the comments on that. What are your thoughts on greed, says T-Pain? That greed has its time and place. It should be practiced to the most minimal amount. You should be greedy about the right things, just like the jealousy and the envious nature of the scribes that increases wisdom. Jealousy is not a good thing, but it has its time and place. Greed is not a good thing, but it has its time and its place. And it's up to you to cultivate the right personality traits in order to discern very, very cautiously, when is it that I should employ? In the very same way that the Talmud says that a person should have 1/60th of pride. 1/60th. Because you're supposed to have a backbone. You're supposed to not be a doormat. You're supposed to have boundaries. You're supposed to stand up for the things you believe in. And if you have no pride whatsoever at anything, then you won't have the fortitude to say no and push back against people who come at you. 1/60th. So I'm saying, in the very same way that they say you need to have 1/60th of pride, you should have 1/60th of greed, and implement it and carry it out in a very precise and cautious fashion. Matt Air Force, do you believe in heaven? No, there is no heaven or hell in the Hebrew faith. There is Gehinnom in Eden. Gehinnom and Eden. Are you taking your phone? You're not? When are you going to be back? Approximately.
It's only 12:20.
I know it's 12:20. Will you be back for lunch?
Maybe.
Okay. Have fun. Kick some butt. Go to the bathroom first. Okay, let's continue. Without your Jew uniform, you look like a homeless liberal, says Toasty in Black. Toasty in Black. I like. What's a Jew uniform? I wonder. You mean a Juniform? Drugs impair the mind and the ability to make good decisions, Fiery Trooper says. First, it depends on the dosage. Second, it depends on the drug. Third, it depends on your set and setting and on any harm reduction. Oh, God bless, have fun. So, now by drugs are caffeine, right? Caffeine is also a drug. Hello. Bye-bye. Okay. So what do you mean? Where does God dwell if not in heaven? God has no dwelling place. What there is the divine revelation that dwells. God has no place of dwelling because that is not a thing that is attributed to the divine itself. There are divine attributions that dwell in different places, but in Eden, right, it was the human being. We were made in the image of God, and that was the original temple, the original tabernacle, the original Ark of the Covenant, if you will. How do you roll a bowl, says the manatee. I don't. That's how. That's how. Thank you for killing Jesus. Now I know I'm saved, says Toasty in Black. Well, Jews didn't kill Jesus. That was the Romans, but thank you. You're welcome. Get a haircut, get a job, says Pat Corn. I don't get a haircut because I'm a Nazarite, and I do have a job, which is pretty awesome. I have a lovely career. I'm actually in a transitional phase right now, but more to come on that in a different time. Shadow of the Watcher says, did the rabbis who compiled the Talmud think they were divinely inspired in some sense? Yes. However, it's the idea that divine inspiration, that's, I think, the right way to put it, because the spirit of prophecy was no longer part of the people of Israel. It was taken away at the time of the beginning of the Second Temple era and given to children and fools, it is said. So the rabbis who compiled the Talmud, by the way, they were not the ones who compiled it are the Savoraim. They're not the Amoraim. The Amoraim are the sages in the Talmud. The Tanaim are the sages in the Mishnah, right? But they were not the ones who compiled the Talmud. The ones who compiled it were the ones afterwards called the Savoraim. So they didn't think they were divinely inspired. So if you're asking chronologically, it's a little different. If you're asking, did the sages of the Talmud believe that they received a divine inspiration? Yes. The thing is that the book of the Talmud is primarily a book of arguments, discussions, controversies, and debates on what halacha ought to be, meaning that people had different traditions, meaning that it was not just one divine revelation, one divine inspiration, boom, there it is. No. Different people with different proclivities and different inclinations and different traditions perceived and received the divine revelation in different ways. And so eventually halacha became X and not Y or not Z for the masses to follow, for Torah to be upheld by the people as such. But that does not mean that opinion Z and opinion Y have no merit whatsoever, nor does it mean that those opinions were not divinely inspired as well. Also, there is that lower form of prophecy that remained, called the spirit of sacredness, or Ruach HaKodesh, or Holy Spirit. Not the Christian Holy Spirit, a very different one. But yes, there was some amount of divine inspiration or revelation that came along with the Talmud. However, it's all jumbled up together. Laws that make, not laws, opinions that make sense, opinions that don't make any sense, opinions that seem batshit crazy, all kinds of medicinal claims that have no basis in reality and have nothing to back them up with. Also, you must remember, the Talmud has a spiritual and esoteric root. By the time it comes down here, right, going through all the different stops in all the different worlds, by the time it manifests here in the physical world in speech or in a book, that's already the oral Torah in its physical clothing. It has a spiritual root that's very different. It's connected, but it's different. So things that physically seem batshit crazy have a spiritual element that is not crazy in the least. Okay. Halakha is a way of walking, says Lucas. That is correct. That's what halakha means. Lalechet means to walk. Halakha means walking. Hey, Kevin Spence is here. Don't yid me at 3 a.m., bro. That's okay. Feel free to scroll away, but I don't think you will. It's nice to see you again. Why in the Holy Jew do you have dreads? T-Pel says. Because I am a Nazarite. I do not comb or brush my hair. Some Nazarites do actually separate, because a Nazarite is allowed to separate and cleanse and whatever with their fingers and their hands. I don't do that. I work shampoo into my scalp. I work conditioner into my dreads, from the mid-lengths to the ends. But I don't separate usually. Let's continue. Shaim says they literally say he is the Messiah. It's like Jesus and Christians, by the way, they're Dan tribe from Ethiopia. Right, so the 10 lost tribes, that's a whole other thing, right? The lost kingdom of Israel. Different people who have Jewish ancestry do claim lineage and different tribal affiliation. It's difficult to know who's who and what's what after so much destruction and exile. It's difficult. As for Chabad saying he's the Messiah, no, some Chabadnikim agree that he is a dead man. That's it. And now Chabad has no Rebbe. And some say, no, he is actually quite well and living and teaching at 770 Eastern Parkway, Brooklyn, New York. And some say he is God in the flesh, which is not according to the Torah at all. All right, I finished my coffee. Wait. There. I'm going to go soon. Oh, it's almost been 2 hours. Cool. Good. Good. Chester says his hair is gross. Yes, some people might consider it to be gross. Nobody is telling you to grow dreads, right? It's just natural, organic, freeform Nazarite dreads. That's all that this is. That's all it is. That's all it will be. That's it. That's all it is. Okay. Let's continue. Scrolling down. Do you believe, Crimson says, Muhammad was a prophet for the Arabs? Probably, likely. Many Muslims consider him to be their prophet. So yes, I think so. Let's continue. Who's Biskiskincy? You're one cool-ass Jew, funny, not greedy. What a guy. How long since your last haircut? About 18 years. 18 years. And thank you for the positive vibes and the encouragement. Vigil says, we have scrolls of Torah older than 2,000 years old and matches the Torah we have to this day. Yes, now there are times when it's a little bit different. An open parashia, a closed parashia, the dots over the letters in certain areas that are scribal additions, but basically, primarily, yes, the very same scrolls. Thanks for content. I don't know your name. My name is Jonathan, or Jonathan, whichever one you want. Do you like the smell of frankincense and myrrh? Yeah, and mirth. Oh, it's not myrrh, it's mirth. What is the smell of mirth? No, it's mirth with an I. I get it. You meant to write myrrh. Mol and levona. Yes, I do. I think more myrrh than frankincense, I would say. Okay. He smells like rotten matzo ball soup. Really? I do? How do you figure? Since I don't eat matzo ball soup. Why are you immune to water? I'm not, White King. I'm not hydrophobic. I'm quite the hydrophiliac. It's almost exclusively what I drink every single day. Lee says, man, this is not good. You don't read. I don't read? Really? I'm pretty sure I do read. But okay. Chester says, when Bob Marley died, they found 11 different species of lice in his dreads. False. That is an urban legend. Look it up. Never happened. Furthermore, Bob Marley had cancer, and a few weeks or months before his death, he actually chopped off his dreads. So you're full of shit, and you don't know what you're talking about, and you are spreading misinformation based on an urban legend and a myth. Didn't happen. Didn't happen. Can I ask you some questions on Facebook? Yes, you can, incidentally. If you want to hit me up in the DMs, Hebrew Nazarite, look for my tree. Across the board, I'm on X, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. I love a good one-on-one every now and then. I definitely enjoy engaging with people, you know. Okay, let's continue. Legit demon, says 42, is the lock. Yes, I am a demon. Yes, I am. I will suck out your sperm and rape your furniture. I'm a succubus. I'm a male succubus. There aren't many of those. Are you a computer with hair? Says Donavai. Yes, I am. Actually, I am. One wet sand. The dreads are fire, my friend. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. But Marley didn't have dreads. It was a wig. He was born bald. I'm pretty sure that he was a Rastafari, and as such, as a Rastafarian, he grew his dreads because he took a Nazarite vow. I'm pretty sure he did have dreads. You are not doing us any fucking favors, says the manatee. I'm not supposed to do you favors. Who says I'm supposed to do you a favor? Jewish Bob Marley, says Graphic Jack. No, I mean, I'm not a Rasta. I'm just a Hebrew man. But Rastas take a Nazarite vow, and I've taken a Nazarite vow, and so we have that in common. Have you heard of Ari Schaefer, the comedian? Yes, I'm not that big of a fan of his. It's just not my style of comedy. I know many people are into him. Adam L., but I've seen some things he's done. It made me chuckle every now and then, but I'm just not into his style of comedy. You are a Bolshevik boy, not a Semite, says John. Dude, it doesn't matter if I'm Bolshevik or a Semite or a Bullshitvik. It really doesn't matter. Am I part of the Hebrew people? Yes. Do I want to follow the Hebrew Torah? Yes. Am I making a sincere effort to follow the commandments and the covenant of the Hebrews? Yes. So ergo, I'm part of the Hebrew people. So even though there were, my ancestors who were exiled into this, that, or the other, we are all people of Judea. We are all remnants of the kingdom of Judah. Okay. Lucas says, I didn't know the dreads of Rastas were of the Nazarite vow. Yes, that's why they grow their dreads. And the Aita living, right, corresponding to kosher living, all of that, that's what it is. Can you fix your hair, Mikhail Gorbagorb says. What do you mean by fix? Do you mean like with a wrench or a hammer? Do you think there's a connection between the rise, anti-Semitism, and big wars? People fight. It's what we do. Humans fight. God willing, all wars will be removed. All bloodshed and war will be taken out of creation. We will know peace and prosperity. God willing, may it be so. He could pass off as Arabic. Yeah, I probably could. Probably. Your ancestors did what to get exiled? Boo Radley. Hey, Boo Radley. I'm a fan of that book, To Kill a Mockingbird, definitely. My ancestors, they transgressed against the Torah and the commandments. They were sinful. That's what got them kicked out eventually. Do you drink blood? Yes, I am, Austrian painter. Every day. It's good for the digestion. Do you work at KFC? No, Chester, I do not. I mean, if I were, it would be awful, really awful for me to work at KFC. So, no. I have nothing against those who work, just because I stay away from animal products. So, no, I do not work at KFC. You're the one causing the wars. Really, Boo Radley? We are causing the wars. How much more full of shit can people be? They spout these like Nazi propaganda lines as if they know what they're talking about, with zero things to back it up with. Now, are there Jews who have been rebellious, like subversive elements in different administrations and in different, in different states and nations and countries over the years? Yeah. You needn't even go back so far to, right, socialism, communism, Karl Marx, that whole thing. But to say that Jews start wars is to ignore most of human history on the planet. And that's just asinine and stupid and so incredibly reductionist, simplistic, and racist. It's like, what are you even talking about? Do you even know what you're talking about? Chances are no. Also, chances are you've never read a history book or have seen a documentary on wars of humanity ever. Okay. Nobody likes you, says Saleh. I agree, nobody likes me. Think I'll go eat some worms. Did I say every single war? No. But the fact that Jews start wars is to ignore humanity. And it's to ascribe wars to Jews. Humans start wars. Tribes start wars. In-group, out-group thinking starts wars. Ideas of greed, conquest, economic systems, these start wars. To say Jews start wars is spiteful, hateful, mean, racist, bigoted, and untrue. Are there individual Jews that would start wars? Sure, like any other people. So by that rationale, you could say humans start wars. It's the same thing. But you choose to actually target Jews with your speech, making you a de facto racist. Now, by all means, feel free to be as racist as you want. That's a you problem, not a me problem. Feel free to stay here. Feel free to keep spouting your hateful, racist, bigoted, asinine opinions. I won't be banning you or putting you in a timeout or censoring you. Okay. Let's continue. Yeah, I think I will go soon. Okay, soon. Gaslight says, this channel is awesome. Thanks, man. It's you people who make it awesome. That's what I love about this channel. It's a lot of fun conversing with you good people. All the time. These pretzels are making me thirsty, says Jake. That's a shame. What's the stream about? Young says. It's faith, religion, spirituality, self-development, philosophy, history, psychology, underarm farts, underleg farts, beer, coffee, wine, weed, herb. That's the same thing. Everything and anything. Whatever you want it to be about, that's what it's about. Full of shit, Ree Marley. Are you talking, Paul, about what I said or what somebody else said? What I said is actually the truth. Now I know why I like you, says Silver Scrapper. Thanks, I appreciate that. I don't exactly know if you said something or are about to say something, but I appreciate that. Viva says, bro has dreads. Yes, I do. Vigil says, this channel is awesome. Leave a like, guys. Thanks, I appreciate that. Dude, come on, read what I send, says Ollie. Sorry, man, I missed you. There are over 160 people here right now. People, if I miss you in the chat, it's not intentional. It's not because I'm ignoring you. It's not because I'm filtering you out or saying, I don't want to, blah, blah, blah. No, leave a comment if I don't get to you in the chat. I address every single comment that YouTube notifies me of that is addressed to me. And I love reading them, and I love responding to them. I love addressing them, whether it's an insult or whether it's something of substance, with something that challenges me, something that encourages me, whatever the case may be. I do enjoy reading the comments and responding in kind. So do leave a comment if I miss you in the chat. It's not intentional. Mea culpa. My apologies. The chat sometimes moves too rapidly. Have you ever eaten a Krusty Burger? No, I have not, Viva. Unfortunately, I have not. I have not eaten a Krusty Burger. What do you think about Netanyahu? Jigaloo Demedia says that he needs to go. That's what I think about Netanyahu. He needs to go. Nazarite vow, says LVTHN von Ach. Yes, I have taken a Nazarite vow. You can see, in number 6, you can read the different prohibitions, and I've taken a Samson Nazarite vow, which is a little different than the one in number 6. Shabab says, love to all people, genuine question. How do you perceive the indiscriminate killing of Gaza women and children? That it's not indiscriminate. It's Hamas that are embedding themselves into the population to raise the death toll for purposes of propaganda, so useful idiots can support terrorism, all the while thinking they are on the right side of history. So there is no indiscriminate killing. If there actually are people killing indiscriminately, targeting innocent men, women, and children, they should be brought to justice and put on trial and sent to prison ASAP. Citizen, what exactly is the Nazarite vow? The vow is a man or woman of the Hebrew tribes who want to take on this vow can do so, where they abstain from anything related to grapes and grape products, right, the fruit of the vine, and they grow their hair wild and free, and they abstain from contact with human death, with corpses. If it's a Samson Nazariteship, then contact with the dead is allowed, but the vow is for life, unbreakable. There are 4 different types of Nazarites, and you can do the research. So yeah. Later, my friend, says Jake. Later, man. Have a good one. Enjoy your weekend. Brandon says, yo, you should repent and follow Jesus. No, I really, really shouldn't. Because everyone who doesn't is going to hell. Yeah, there is no hell in the Hebrew faith, so that's strike 2. Shall we keep going with the comment? Follow him because he laid his life down so we would not perish but live with him forever. That's strike 3. You're out, or rather, I'm out. No, I don't go with anything of what you said. You can. I'm not taking that away from you. You're a Christian, a follower of Jesus. That's great. Mazel tov. Good for you. Lech al zeh. Go for it. But I am not. I'm a Hebrew man who follows a Hebrew path. That's it. Not to cut must be Samson, but now I still don't know the religious purpose of the Nazarite vow. The Nazarite vow has no specific purpose. Each Nazarite takes his or her vow for different reasons. The Torah does not specify a reason for taking it, nor a purpose or a goal or an aim in taking it. All the Torah says is, a man or woman of the Hebrew tribes who wants to be a Nazarite, here are the laws of the Nazariteship. It doesn't specify why or to what end. Every Nazarite that I've been in contact with, every Nazarite man or woman that I've spoken to, arrived at it from a different place, put their own spin on it, and are doing it for sometimes reasons which overlap or correspond, but it's a very personal vow. The journey is one of a very personal and intimate nature, and so it's one of those things that you don't get to really truly understand until you go all in on. That's it. So when people say, so what do you get out of the Nazarite vow? I say, it's a personal thing. If you want to know what you would get out of it, you need to take the vow. But now, without a temple, all vows are for life. Okay. You're a Jew, says White King. Very shrewdly observed, White King. You'll always be the problem. Yes, this is true. I am indeed the problem. Are you circumcised? Yes, I am, Joe Casta. Are you? Light Oof says, has your Nazarite vow made you strong like Samson? Well, first of all, I'm not Samson, so I'm not strong like Samson. The Nazarite vow has made me more disciplined, and The Torah makes one more disciplined as such, but the Nazarite vow has gotten me to be truly more who I am. I still have a long way to go. The Nazariteship is not something, right, that I've attained already. It's an ongoing journey, right? And like in all things in life, the goal is the journey, right? The destination, it's the origin and the destination and the journey, right? It's the whole thing coming together. So the Nazariteship is something you take on, but it's a journey for life. Has it made me strong like Samson? I doubt it. He was unique. You think Christians are bound to be anti-Semitic? I never said that. And Paul, they are pagan. They don't like monotheistic theology. I'm not sure if you're talking about someone else in the chat or not, but okay. Could you tell us why you went vegan, Emerald says. Was it the vow? And do you like sweet potatoes? It's my favorite food. I've been vegan for 8 years myself. So I went vegan because the Samson Nazarite vow allows you contact with the dead. It's one of the things where the Samson vow is different from the 3 other types of Nazarite vows. It allows you contact with the dead. But I still wanted to have the opposite side of that token, of that coin. And so I figured instead of abstaining from human death, which I still do, but it's not commanded, I will sanctify life. I was a vegetarian when I took the vow, and then shortly after I took the vow, I went vegan as a kind of addendum to the vow. It's not part of the vow, I just added it on in some way. Same thing with alcohol. The Nazarite man or woman are allowed to consume alcohol that is not of grape origin, right? Things like whiskey, things like beer, right? Barley, wheat, potato vodka. But I also cut out all alcohol. Those are 2 things I took on as an addition, not by the vow, right? The vow is a Nazarite vow, but I took it on as an addition, no alcohol and no animal products, right? So going vegan and being a teetoter, is that it, right? So I went vegan as a way to sanctify life because I believe that the Nazariteship is about the tree of life and about the sanctification and the sacredness of life. So it was the vow, but it's not part of the vow. Do I like sweet potatoes? My God, yes. It is a complete protein. The yams and sweet potatoes, I think, are both, they have a full chain, right? A whole chain of protein, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, it's one of the closest things to a complete protein as possible in the vegetable kingdom, and they are awesome, and I love them. And good for you for going vegan. Did you go for religious reasons, moral reasons? Are you vegan only in a diet, or do you not wear fur, right? Or, wool, leather, things like that? I'd love to know more. And that's awesome. Good for you. Good for you. That is really great. Okay, let's continue. Full amino acid profile, says Cody. Yes, that's it. That's what I was thinking of. Shabab says, why are you avoiding tough questions? Do people not understand that there are over 170 people here avoiding tough questions? Are you foolish? Are you? I have some sympathy for you, being a fool myself, but don't be so self-absorbed. Don't be so egocentric to think that I'm avoiding tough questions. Why are there children with bullets that come from directly overhead? Something Hamas lacks the capability to do so? I don't know what that means. The reason why children come with bullets in their heads is because Hamas put children in front of them, used them as human shields and cannon fodder. So then when IDF attack Hamas and children are killed, they can parade their bodies and send the footage to media outlets all over the world and blame the Zionist occupying pig dogs for what they did to our children, because they put them there. They embed themselves into the civilian population with the express purpose and intent and aim and goal of raising the civilian casualty numbers in order to gain points, propaganda, religious martyrdom. They sacrifice these children, these innocent men and women, babies, toddlers. They don't give a fuck. As long as they get what they want, which is martyrdom. As long as they get what they want, which is more money. As long as they get what they want, which is more useful idiots around the world who are triggered emotionally. And again, I have some sympathy for this, because it's a horrible thing going on, and innocent people are dying, and that is a horrible thing, and it's a tragedy. But people see the footage coming out of Gaza, and they're saying, oh, they must be the victims, they must be the oppressed. By that rationale, because more Germans died in World War II, you would be rooting for Nazi Germany. Because Berlin was demolished and Dresden was bombed into oblivion, you would be rooting for Nazi Germany in World War II. Because if you're going emotionally, more Germans died than Allied people, right, and Allied forces. More buildings and different structures were destroyed in Germany than in other places. So by that rationale, you would be rooting for Nazi Germany. However, if you actually use your mind, you would see that the civilian casualties or the combatant casualties are not what bespeak the aggressor or the one who is being oppressed or the victim. The loss of buildings and establishments and structures, that is not what makes somebody a victim. That simply isn't it. That never has existed in any war. So think before you speak. Okay, let us continue. Jim Morrison. Hey, good to see you, Jim. I love your poetry. You straight-faced try to justify the IDF shooting children in the head, heart, and genitals. False. I have done no such thing. I justify the IDF fighting a defensive war against a terrorist regime that would genocide every last man, woman, and child in Israel. If they were only capable of doing so, thank God they are not. If there are homicidal, genocidal individual soldiers who are shooting and targeting children in the head and the heart and genitals, unprovoked, not trying to reach the enemy, but targeting innocent people, then they are animals, they are committing atrocities and a war crime and a crime against humanity, and they belong in prison for life for taking away an innocent life just because they felt like it. And they should be put to death, so to speak, or at least in prison for life. So there you go, and screw you for misrepresenting what I said. That is simply you with your confirmation biases. Now again, I have some sympathy for that. We all have the idea of wanting to confirm our biases, but I said no such thing. So screw you, I said no such thing, I meant no such thing, and you are twisting and misrepresenting and manipulating my words to fit your agenda. That is disingenuous, it is dishonest, and that just shows a lot more about you than it does about me. Let's continue. Triggered, says Patty. No, it's not a question of being triggered. It's a question of if we are here to have a conversation, then take what I said, okay, and don't misrepresent it. Take what I said, and if you want to push back against me, please. If you want to challenge me, please. If you want to fact check me, please do. If you want to misrepresent me, maybe don't do that, because that warped the entire basis of the conversation we are having, right? It really does actually bend the meaning of things towards what you want, and that turns the entire conversation into null and void, because then we're just talking at each other instead of with each other, and that's not productive. It's not productive in the least. Okay, let's continue. The arrogance. Imagine lecturing this, like this, when you stand with Israel delusional. First of all, yes, I am delusional, I'll give you that. I am not arrogant. I am speaking actual, proper facts and history. This is actually true. You can look it up. As for lecturing, I am not a lecturer. We are here having a conversation. As for being with Israel, of course I stand with Israel. Israel is fighting a defensive war against terrorist regimes, bloodthirsty, warmongering death cults that would sacrifice their population for their cause and genocide every last man, woman, and child in Israel for the glory of Allah, whatever the hell that means. And they have no qualms about it. They don't want a Palestinian state. They just want the Israelis not to have a state. They don't want quality of life for their people. They just want no quality of life for the Jews in Israel. And prove me wrong. If you're saying I'm arrogant, show me how. Show me, how am I arrogant? If somebody says something that I agree with, I'm totally on board with that. So, Irish hoopers. Yeah, makes sense, Irish. Yeah, Ireland is very anti-Israel by and large, and you are a classic example of that. So attacking me with these foolish and asinine ad hominems, with you not knowing what you're talking about, is simply you displaying your ignorance here in the chat, and it has nothing to do with what I'm saying. You simply have an opinion, you want to spout it here, you found a place to do it where you think what you're saying is the right thing, the righteous thing, the real thing, you're on the right side of history, so by all means do it. It's great, I love reading your comments, it really is all good, and I think you've been here before, so hello again, Irish Hooper. Now, just because I stand with Israel does not mean that I support everything Israel does willy-nilly, blindly. I'm critical of the government, I'm critical of the army, I'm critical of the state and the establishment that I am a part of. Truly, I am. I don't follow the Zionist government propaganda, viewpoint party line blindly. I form a synthesis from the different views and viewpoints that are around me. So what you're saying is demonstrably false and inaccurate, however you want to look at it. All you want to do is you want to say your bit. Congratulations, you did it. Are you a Jew, Rasta? Building says. No, I'm not. I don't worship Rastafari, but there is a lot of connection between the Jews and the Rastas. Go and wash, says Sugdee's Nuts 187. I'll tell you. I'll go and I'll wash. You, in the meanwhile, wash your nuts, and then I'll suck these nuts as I wash. What do you say? Are we good? Cool. You don't even have eyes to see, says Boo Radley. Once again, people here not knowing what they're talking about. Boo Radley, I don't have eyes to see. Could be I'm willfully ignorant. Could be I'm blind. Could be I'm... What? Did I glitch? I think I glitched. Am I back? I'm back. I have my principles. I have the hills on which I will die. Most of the time, I'm fairly open-minded, which means that, yes, I do have eyes, I do have a heart, I do have a mind, I do have ears. I try to keep them as open as possible. So what you're saying is false. He's in an apartment in Ohio. No, I've never been to Ohio, AJ. I am here in Jerusalem. I don't know what you're talking about, but okay. You're good. You did glitch, though. Okay, so I glitched for a second. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, Silver. Hard to take, can't take all the people talking smack. Yeah, Cody TA, people just love to run their mouth, myself included. I'm not taking myself out of that equation. I do run my mouth. It's part of what I love to do. But what I try to do to the best of my ability is run my mouth about things that have a modicum of truth, that their foundation is one of actual basis in reality. And if I say things that have no basis in reality, I qualify it by saying, I'm not sure, it's a maybe, it could go either way, right? There are caveats. And I understand that it's just a viewpoint. It's just what I think. It's just an opinion. It's malleable. It is. Most of my opinions are highly plastic and very malleable. I call things like I see them. We don't care what you say, Jew, says York AKZ Little. That's okay. You don't have to care. Nobody said you have to care. We're just here to talk. We're here to have conversations. We're here to have an open and honest dialogue. That's what this channel is about. So if you don't care what I have to say because I'm a Jew, you have billions and trillions of other live streams, websites, platforms, anything. The world is at your fingertips. Go forth and do something else. You don't have to be here. Scroll away, scroll away. It's all good. It's all good. This channel is not for everyone, right? This channel is only for a handful of people who find value in the open and honest conversation that this channel and live stream are trying to facilitate. Most people only view for a few seconds before scrolling away in horror, and that's fine. I knew that going in. Not everybody digs this channel. It takes a specific type of person, and not in a condescending way, just in a way that certain people have certain proclivities and are inclined to engage in conversation about things, and other people, you know, they're into cat videos, and that's cool. I love the occasional cat videos. Or babies laughing. That just is a dopamine kick to the heart. Okay. Let's continue. Are you a Bob Marley fan? I'm a fan of Bob Marley and the Wailers. I like reggae. I'm not such a maven, but I'm a fan of reggae. I love Steel Pulse, right? Bunny Wailer had some good stuff. You talk fast, says Timeless One. I have my moments. I could talk slower. All right. Let's continue. Bro, where did you hid Epstein be, says Joe Casta. I don't know anything about Epstein. I have not read the Epstein files. I don't know what he did, what he didn't do, who he was. I really, really don't. Lowering your voice doesn't make it slower. Oh, it was a little slower. Come on now. The Art of Calmness says stop killing kids. Well, talk to Hamas. Talk to your freedom-fighting terrorist buddies. Tell them to stop putting their weapons caches and combatants and headquarters and training facilities and homes, mosques and schools and hospitals. Tell them to stop using UNRWA vehicles. Tell them to stop using Red Crescent ambulances. Tell them to stop using their population as cannon fodder. Tell them to stop embedding themselves and using the people as human shields. Less kids will die, I guarantee it. Some will die because it's war. And you people have no idea what war is, apparently. Stop killing kids! What do you think? You think that kids are exempt from being casualties of war? I wish that that were the case. Unfortunately, when you have a terrorist and bloodthirsty warmongering regime like Hamas that is specifically with the intent of raising the civilian casualty numbers, that's what you get. That's what you get. Okay. You go gym or not, Nazarite? M. Khalif March. I go to the gym 5 days a week. You make us look like devils, John, the manatee says. Devils? I didn't say anything about devils. I don't believe in the devil. The Bebus kids remember? I do remember. Friederman says there, it's the Israel Jewish propaganda. What is the Israeli Jewish propaganda? What is? Speaking the truth? Yes, if you want to call it propaganda, by all means do. By all means do. Cody says, easy times make weak men. They don't understand shit. No, they probably don't. They've never seen combat. They've never been in a war zone. They live in this comfortable life thousands of miles away sometimes, supporting terrorism because they want to appear righteous and they want a virtue signal and they want to think that they're doing the proper thing. I don't blame them. They don't know any better. But to think that they know what they're talking about when in fact they have no clue, and to be so self-righteous and so self-confident in their misunderstanding, that is classic humanity. Classic humanity. What's your excuse for the settlers abusing Palestinians? Asked the dogs. No excuse. If there are settlers who are violent against innocent Palestinians, unprovoked, with nothing but the desire to abuse, they belong in jail. They should go to prison. They should stand trial and go to prison. There is no excuse for unprovoked settler violence. None whatsoever. No matter what you slap on it, the label of Zionism, the label of Torah, the label of Kashrut, nothing makes it kosher. Nothing makes it true Zionism. Nothing makes it kosher in the eyes of the Torah. So on that, you and I are of the same mind. There is no excuse for such appalling, abhorrent, reprehensible behavior. None. To criticize Israel without acknowledging the evil of Hamas is disingenuous. I agree, Daniel Holmes. Both leaderships do horrible things to each other. The thing is that in one case, you have a terrorist organization. In another case, you have an actual government and administration. The difference is far and wide-reaching. Satan's got you by the gonads, Sir Loves a Lot. Good to see you again, sir. Satan's got you by the gonads. Well, I don't believe in Satan in the sense of the Christian Satan. Satan is an adversary. That's what it is. That's what Satan means in Hebrew, adversary. Yes, Satan does have me by the balls, and I seek to grab his balls, and we'll, stimulate each other, and we'll have some good times. Okay. There is no difference between Itamar Ben-Gvir giving guns to settlers in the IDF. What are you talking about? Of course there's a difference. You're trying to conflate two things that are very different. Settler violence is one thing. The Israeli Defense Forces is a whole other thing. You're not treating this with any kind of actual honesty if you're conflating the two to such a degree that you say it's the same thing and that there's no difference. No, there's a major, major difference. I'm not a fan of Ben-Gvir. I don't know his politics. I don't know who he is. I didn't vote for him. I think he should get kicked out. Right? If his views are indeed so violent, he has no place and no business in the administration. Are you related to Chevre Rav Moshe? No, I'm not, but I've seen his live streams. He is not far away in the old city. So I've seen his live streams, yeah. Let's continue. Hi, Jewish Indian here. What to eat for brain? Sweet potatoes. Eat that. Honesty is tough when you're in the wrong, says clearly Alec. Well, honesty to the degree that I can be. That means that I don't know everything, nor do I purport to know everything. There's a lot of stuff that I don't know. Most things I don't know. But I have lived here pretty much all of my life as a civilian. I've served in the army. I was discharged 5 years ago. I've seen a thing or two, especially living in Jerusalem. Okay. Even Pontius Pilate washed his hands and walked away, says Psychoactive Doom. Hey, Psychoactive, good to see you again. I think you've been here before. Okay. Scrolling down. Boo Radley says, you don't know shit. Okay, feel free to say that. That's okay. That is your prerogative. Because when you're faced with actual facts, You run away to, oh, you don't know and I do. When you're faced with actual history, you choose to limit your narrow viewpoint only in what you understand because it really pulls the rug out from underneath you to be faced with actual hard facts, data, verifiable history. I get it. It's a pain in your ass. It's a pain in your penis. It itches your clitoris. Whatever it is that you have, it gets to you. It gets to you, and I don't blame you for that, really. But at some point, you're going to have to face facts. And facts, as people famously say, don't care about your feelings. They don't. All right. Good day, says YouTuber. Hey, good day to you. Really, sweet potato. Yes, indeed. Boo Radley says, give me some history, then educate me on when it all went so bad for Jews. I mean, again, I'm not purporting to be an educator or a historian. I'm not an academic researcher or an educated or learned man, but I've read a thing or two and I've seen a thing or two. So if you want history, go look it up. If you have an actual question, I will address it. But to say, educate me on when it went bad for the Jews, it went bad for the Jews about 2,000 years ago with the destruction of the Second Temple. That's when it went really, really bad, and it has remained bad for quite a while. Shabab says, I know it's hard for you to understand. I believe you believe what you say. However, you are deluded, and that's why you are angry at reality, history, and archaeology not matching Zionist propaganda. Really? So according to you, there has been no Jewish presence here for over 3,000 years? That's what you're saying? That's your argument? Are you insane? You're in the minority if you're claiming there's been no Jewish presence here, and history for the Jews started in 1948, and Israel is a new invention. Really. Now again, I have sympathy for your plight, because you're faced with things that make you very uncomfortable and make you feel very bad inside, and I get it, but unfortunately you are gravely mistaken, Shabab. Gravely mistaken. History, reality, and archaeology match up perfectly with biblical Zionism, modern-day Zionism, of a over 3,000-year-old, unbroken, continued presence of Jews in the land of Israel. That's it. That's the way that it goes. I know. It's sad that it goes against and flies in the face of what you're thinking, what you're saying, what you hold to be sacred, but that's that. And I won't, there's no two ways about that. Okay. We don't like your condescending, plucky Jew tone you're using with us. Hey, chat, am I condescending? Or am I simply stating my opinion? I'm only responding in kind. If people are going to attack me with ad hominems in a condescending, self-righteous, self-important, self-aggrandizing way, I will respond in kind. Sometimes I don't. I definitely won't be saying you're absolutely right, I'm in the wrong, with them not bringing any evidence to back up their claims. So what am I supposed to do? Simply accept what this random people on the internet, what these random people on the internet are saying? Oh, how could I have been so blind? Of course, these people who are haters and on the internet. What are you actually saying here? Cut your hair and get rid of those nasty dreads, says Corey. I don't see that happening because I'm a Nazarite and I'm not allowed to cut my dreads. Or my hair, for that matter. He'll eventually read Snipes. Snipes, what did Snipes say? Snipes. I'm scrolling up a little bit. Scrolling up. Snipes. Jews, Christians, and Muslims all lived in peace in Palestine before Israel. Does that not concern you? False. The Jews have been persecuted ever since the 1830s, and before that, there was relative peace between Muslims and Jews under different regimes and caliphates. The Muslims see the people, right, as the Katab, the people of the book, right? They do see the Jews and the Christians as people of the book, and so they treat them a little bit better. And there was, to some degree, freedom of religion, freedom of worship, freedom of faith, and all that. They were still second-class citizens. They were still not as important as Muslims. They had to give the skull tax, but they were also exempt of certain things that Muslims were, that was mandatory for Muslims. So there's a give and take there. But to say they lived in peace is bullshit. Read history, people. Read the history of the Holy Land. Read the history. This land is bloody, soaked in blood, soaked in war, soaked in conflict, constant, almost unending. Almost unending. Okay, what about the massacre of 1836, 33? When was it? Right? When Arab Muslims massacred Jews in Israel. I don't remember which was it? Tzfat, Tveria? I don't remember which one. What about the 1921 massacre of Hebron, the ethnic cleansing of Jews from Hebron? That was about 30 years before the state of Israel. In other words, you read some history from the last few decades, you think that's the entirety of the conflict, and you're calling me, what was it? Does it not concern me? So you're saying that I'm unconcerned, but that's bullshit. What you're saying is bullshit. Yes, of course it concerns me if there is no peace. To say that there was peace before the state of Israel is just revealing your complete lack of comprehension and your grave and your ignorance. It just reveals your deep ignorance of what actually goes on here. That's that. So, Snipes, why don't you look into history? Why don't you look into the massacres and the pogroms and the persecutions of Jews by Muslim Arabs here in the Holy Land before 1948? Why don't you look at Hamid al-Husseini, all right, the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, who conspired with Hitler before the establishment of the State of Israel to eradicate and annihilate Jews and solve the problem, right, the final solution of Jews in the Holy Land, in the land of Palestine. Why don't you do that and then get back to me and tell me that they lived in peace? And if you do know the history and you're just misrepresenting it, then that is completely dishonest of you. Maybe you shouldn't do that. All right. M says, show your abs, great guy. No, I don't think so. It's still a work in progress. Maybe if sometime I take off my shirt. But yeah, I am getting a hint of my six-pack back. The only time I had a six-pack is when I was in the army, and ever since then I've had a hint of a six-pack, but because it's difficult for me to gain weight, it's difficult for me to gain proper muscle mass. I do go to the gym regularly. I'm a physical person, you know, I stay active, be it at the gym or roughhousing with the kids or whatever, so I've always managed to maintain a pretty physically fit and toned body, but not as well defined as far as the musculature is concerned. But I have been going regularly for a few months now, 5 days a week. So, 4 or 5 days a week, more 5 than 4. So I am getting my abs back. Yes. He's cousins of the Arabs. Yes, true. Traditionally, the sons of Jacob and the sons of Ishmael are cousins. This guy is his own source on fact. False. Again, that's you with another ad hominem claiming I'm making things up. I'm not making anything up. This is actual documented history and verifiable fact. And I know it's uncomfortable for you to be faced with such things, but it's the truth. That's it. It's documented history. Matthew says, oh, I'm sorry. There was more to that comment, but then the chat jumped. Damn it, I'm sorry, I didn't get to the rest of the chat. I'm sorry. But no, I'm not making anything up. Did you kill or hurt anyone when you were in the IDF? No, I had my finger on the trigger twice, and twice, thank God, in different situations, I did not need to pull the trigger. And I was actually a field medic, right? I was a medic in the army, meaning that I actually helped people who were sick or wounded or injured or ill. Yes. Gay Jew, gay Jew, gay Jew, gay Jew, says Fuck Censorship 69. Yes, I am gay, I am straight, I am bi, I'm a two-spirit pigeon, I am transsexual, I am transhuman, I am all kinds of things, and I identify as a cup of coffee. Ooh, there's another drop here. Got it. Let's continue. You control the world, says Joe, by playing victim card of religions. No, that is not true at all. But okay, feel free to think that. Sky says, you still alive? Yes, I am. Why do you all look like that? Who's all look like that, Billy Wop? Who is this all that you speak of? Who is this all that look like me? I gotta ask. Ay. Boo Radley, the Torah lets you be all of those things. What things am I talking about? What things am I talking about here that the Torah allow me to be all of? AA is here. Great to see you. You're on fire. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. You've got a very selective view of history, says Snipes. Be that as it may, It's not selective in the sense that you're considering it selective. It isn't. Because I've actually read things from the Palestinian narrative and the Israeli narrative. I've read things from way before Israel was a state, and I've read things from 3,300 years ago, things that went down in the Ottoman Empire, things that went down in different places. So I do know what I'm talking about, not because I'm knowledgeable, but because I am standing on the shoulders of knowledgeable giants. That is why. So for you to say that I've got a view of history, where is it that I'm selecting from? Where? Where is the time frame that according to you it's becoming selective? Where? Are you saying that there were no massacres against Jews in the 19th and the early 20th century? That is documented fact. Are you saying that the Jews and Christians and Muslims lived in peace here? That is not true. Were there times of peace, relative peace? Yes, and I agreed. I consented. Yes, there were times under different leaderships, under different caliphates, under different sultans, where there was relative peace. To say that there was peace and love and kumbaya, people holding hands, sucking each other's dicks, no, that did not happen. There was never such a thing. That it was only tolerating each other. There was a tenuous sort of understanding at that, depending on the regime or leadership that was around here. To say that Jews and Muslims and Christians lived in peace before the state of Israel, that's not true. That's simply not true. Okay. Patty says, I'm sorry, where did it go? So because it's written, it has to be true. No, not necessarily. History is written by the victors, right? History is written by the winners. The thing is that the Jews have not been the winners for a couple of millennia. The Jews are still not allowed to win. We're still not allowed to have a decisive victory. So no, it's not true because it was written. Okay? What I'm saying is that taking everything into account as best as I can perceive it, and I'm flawed and faulty, and I take that into account as well. As best as I can perceive things, and I'm also, by the way, taking historical accounts that were written by people who were not Jews. Right? What about Samuel Clemens, right? What about Mark Twain, who journeyed here and who wrote about the land of Israel in the 19th century, if I'm not mistaken? Does he have nothing to say? Was he lying? What about the fact that people describe this place as a barren wasteland until the Zionists showed up, at least? What about that? Is that also false? You could say that anything is false. You could really make the claim that anything and everything is false. Anything and everything is confirmation biases. Anything and everything is just what I want to see. Anything and everything is me selecting a certain time frame of history and to look at and extrapolate into everything. It's like you can make all of these claims. What is actually happening? That's what matters. What is happening is that the people of Israel returned to Israel, joining the community that was already here. The Arab Muslim population, or the leadership rather, did not see that favorably, and they've been attacking and persecuting and terrorizing the Jewish people ever since. That is what is actually happening. All the while, not recognizing the Jewish people here, not recognizing the state of Israel, not recognizing the fact that they were offered a Palestinian state, and that they are just pushing it way out, throwing the baby out with the bathwater for the sake of playing the victim, gaining propaganda points, lining their pockets and bank accounts with money, with humanitarian aid, pissing all over their populations while telling them that it's raining, and keeping them in poverty, keeping them in squalor, keeping them refugees for life, for generations. The only ones. The UN has designated a specific organization, UNRWA, just for the Palestinians. Unlike any other people in the history of the world, they are allowed, for some stupid reason, to keep their refugee title and pass it on from father to son, mother to daughter. That is all they have. That is all they want. They don't actually want a state. The Palestinian leadership is very clear about this. They simply don't want the Jews to have a state. And where am I wrong about that? Show me where I'm wrong. Show me where that is selective. Do you not believe that there was a partition plan of 1947? Do you not believe that Israel offered the Palestinian leadership Gaza, the West Bank, and East Jerusalem as a capital? Then prove me wrong. Prove how that's not true. Did you not see the Oslo Accords? That went to shit because Arafat turned it into a big ball of shit? That's not me saying it. This is documented fact and history. So if you want to call me blind, arrogant, vain, selective history, fine, by all means do. I don't give two shits because I know what I'm saying is based in fact. What you're saying is based on trying to discredit me, but not giving any evidence to support your claims. So if you do have evidence to support your claims, and if I'm proven wrong, and that has happened once or twice in this live stream, I will gladly thank you for making me less ignorant. But to attack me with ad hominems, to call me blind, condescending, arrogant, this is nothing. This is just revealing your own ignorance and lack of a coherent argument against what I'm saying. All right. Mike says, nasty looking thing. Oh, Mike, you have no idea how nasty I am. Okay. I'm going to say goodbye. This has been lovely. I thank you, good people, for your time and your kind and gentle attention. If I missed you in the chat, leave a comment. I address every comment that is addressed to me. If you want to hit me up in the DMs, Hebrew Nazarite across the board. Look for my tree. And I'll see you on the next live stream where the wonders never cease. Be blessed. Be a blessing to others. Be the light in other people's lives. Be the reason why people see some good in the world. Be the reason why people see grace and kindness and benevolence in the world. Be the reason why people would have faith in humanity. Be the reason, be the reason, be the light. And a quick prayer for unity, justice, peace, and love among all creation. May war and bloodshed and terrorism be lifted clean out of creation even right now as I am speaking these words. May we be able to embrace each other in our shared humanity. May we be able to overcome our differences. May we be able to overcome our opinions that drive wedges between us. May we be able to overcome our own weaknesses, our own shortcomings, our own frailties. May we be able to elevate ourselves physically, mentally, spiritually, financially, bring wealth and wellness and health to the world, elevate each other. May we be able to bridge the gaps. May we be able to find common ground. May we be able to laugh and eat and drink and fart together. And peace and love from Jerusalem. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next time. This was so much fun. L'chaim.